Touchdown! What a run in the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Anzio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik with a touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And here we go on a Tuesday, a couple of days into the last week in October and headed for the month of November, both the combination of October, November this week with games starting as early as tonight in college football. Craig will have off the radar on many things, including some notes, I'm sure, college football related. So I was watching Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak with me, David Smoak. Thank you so much for your time on 365 Sports. I sent this article to everybody, most everybody, I believe. College football is absolutely unhinged right now. It's exactly why we love it. There were sentences of college football is absolutely absurd at the moment. It is a sport that has completely gone, is completely unglued. And then at the very end, they're just talking about all the things that are happening. May the chaos forever reign. What say, Craig, what say you, Paul, on do you like college football? It's a lot of great games, but do you like the way it is overall, just a full meal deal?
Yes, I like it. I love it. I've not stopped loving it. There are parts of it that annoy me, but again, that's any relationship that you're passionately in. If you love something, you love somebody. I love the Red Sox. They annoy me. I'm not going to stop loving them because they annoy me and they need to make different moves. I've always loved the Cowboys, but I'm not going to stop loving them because they don't. So the way college football works, yeah, it's annoying, but I'm not going to not love it until they totally wreck it.
Okay. All right, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here every day talking about it.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, clearly I love it. And yeah, I think this has been a fun year. I think that's also very much a Twitter thing of like, this is crazy. This is like always pointing out the chaos and always pointing out the calamity. And yeah, I mean, that's where we typically are by week 10 of the college football season, is having experienced a lot of chaos and calamity and craziness, but I do think this year's maybe ratcheted up a notch because of the coaching firings and being as high profile as some of them are, as numerous as some of them are. I think the race for the playoff, now that we're going to get those first standings next week, that will really shine even a further light on this stretch run with so many teams involved. I think for the old heads, the old country club folks who feel like it should be, super exclusive and they don't like this being the non-traditional way of having done things, this massive playoff and everything. Like, I don't know how much they're excited for it, but I think the majority of the country and even a lot of those people from those fan bases are super excited about the complete unknowns that await us here the next few weeks. So yeah, it's shaping up to be a hell of a stretch run. It's already shaped up to be a hell of an off season that feels like it, even in season, it doesn't really stop nowadays, much like the NFL. Yeah, I think it's a sport that has its drawbacks off the field right now that certainly could be better for fans, for coaches, for players, but you can't have everything be perfect. So for what it is and what it is right now, I'm loving every minute of it.
We will have Taylor McCarg and Shahan Jayaraja, both from CBS Sports. Taylor, by the way, did the North Dakota State, South Dakota State over the weekend, so we'll check in with him. And also Shahan Jayaraja wrote an article, a column today, that it's time for Baylor to move past Dave Aranda. We discussed some of that yesterday, and we'll discuss some of that today. But we are going to have, by the way, this week, Kalani Sitake, Josh Hoover, and
Willie Fritz.
Willie Fritz will be guests on this show over the next couple of days. Not today, but over the next couple of days. So here we go with college football news and notes. Behren Morton, Joey McGuire today confirming that he will start this week. He, of course, missed the game, was available, but missed the game this past weekend when they blew out Oklahoma State. He is back. It is, I just hope he stays healthy. Unfortunately for him, he's had to deal with it. It's a tough position, but Behren Morton back for Tech, and they need that news.
Well, Tech has been able to withstand it this year so far, save for the one loss that they have to Arizona State. But, that's not tragic by any stretch of the imagination. But, in the last few years, the biggest thing is they can't keep a quarterback healthy the whole season. They haven't. They've been able to get through that now with having a better defense, better players around, and being really, really good. But, they really need him to stay healthy now that Will Hammond is out for the rest of the year. And Mitch Griffiths is the backup. And then after that, you're getting to, players that have not played college football at all or may not be on scholarship. And that's not what a team who thinks that they are playoff caliber wants to have.
Well, this is really good news. I mean, Mitch Griffiths played well last week, but considering Oklahoma State and where they are right now, not taking a ton away from that game, respectfully, it's not the same as going up against BYU and having done the same thing. Now, if he does that, if Mitch Griffiths plays against them here right on the corner and performs that way, then I'll be the leader of the fan club. But yeah, you want Behren Morton. You need Behren Morton. He is critical to this stretch run and getting you to the Big 12 championship game and to the college football playoff. I don't think that it's impossible to get there without him, but I think it's a much tougher uphill climb because while your defense is very good in certain places and while your offensive skill players can be very explosive, as we saw with Will Hammond at times, like Behren Morton is kind of the guy that makes that go the quickest, the best, and the most efficiently. So Hammond was a solid player, even with drawbacks. Curious to see, if Griffiths is thrown into action, what that looks like. But hopefully Behren Morton's able to stay upright and stay healthy and finish his story, man, because this is it for him. There's no more coming back again. This is the stretch run, and this is as good as Tech's been in a long time. So it's got the Hollywood elements to it that he can be the guy that comes back from injury and takes them the rest of the way, or this great season that was built up could potentially get derailed here at the end due to injuries. And that's the one thing that no matter how much money you have that you cannot account for or prevent, right? And so you got to have a little bit of luck, and Tech's been a little bit unlucky here with the quarterback injuries. So hopefully that there's a little bit of luck waiting them this stretch run for their sake.
Well, he has, when he's played, 13 touchdowns, 3 picks. He doesn't run much, and they surely don't want to see him do that, but he can, but he doesn't run much. His longest run is 11 yards. He's played in 6 games, of course, part of the KU game. Not very much in a win. Did not play against Arizona State. So that's official. Behren Morton. Put him in bubble wrap. and get ready for game Saturday that they have coming up against K-State.
I held my breath until I saw this because you just don't know with him and whether he's going to be available. I know he was tracking well last week, and I know that he was available to play if they needed him, but they just didn't need him. So hopefully he's as healthy as he's been in a while, and I think going to Manhattan and playing Kansas State with what they've looked like here recently is going to be a real challenge. And if he wasn't available, then I think you're looking at Tech maybe taking a loss potentially. So, yeah, critical to have him back, and two big games coming up here, going to Manhattan and then obviously hosting BYU right after. So this is kind of make or break territory for the Red Raiders.
All right, so there we are again. He missed most of that game with Utah. Remember, he went out early. Hammond was great. Missed Arizona State and threw 12 passes in the blowout win against KU. Now, also, Sam Leavitt. This has been now an every other week thing, it seems like, with him. He is expected, according to Chris Karpman and also Matt Zenitz, both reporting this, will miss the game in the rematch against Iowa State due to injury. And, of course, we know the option has, God bless him, and Jeff Sims and others on the roster. But this could be one of those. They're still good enough to win without him. But
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they can win without him. They haven't the last couple of years. When he's not been in the game, they haven't won. So I don't know if they can. They have talent. Certainly they do. But the drop-off at quarterback is so significant that they haven't been able to win without him in the last 2 years. And it's unfortunate that he's kind of in and out this year, and he's got this ankle or foot injury that's been nagging him, and he was in and out of the game last week. Jeff Sims actually did lead a touchdown drive to cut into that Houston lead, so maybe that's a good sign. But ultimately, I don't know if they can withstand much longer with Jeff Sims in there, and if they need to maybe, put the third string guy in and just see what he's got.
Yeah, I don't know about going that far. I'm not sure what they view their third stringer as. I mean, but I just in general, this Sam Leavitt news is disappointing. I mean, this is what you feared if you're Texas Tech with Behren Morton, the injury that never quite goes away and affects your entire season. And I don't know if Behren Morton's equally as important to Tech as Sam Leavitt is to Arizona State, but I think at minimum it's very, very close. So, yeah, this is bad news for ASU, and he's tried to grit through it and gut through it. And last week, just a little bit too much for him at times to be able to stay into that game. But I credit him because he's a super tough dude, and he's obviously very, very talented. And I think, Paul, you go to Jeff Sims and there's a big drop-off. It's because Sam Leavitt's pretty damn good. I mean, that's the thing. It's he's really, really good. And so, I don't care who the backup is. There's probably going to be a drop-off unless you're at Alabama or something as far as the backup quarterback goes. But, this is tough news, and Arizona State's in a weird spot where they're in the mix, but right on the verge of not being in the mix, especially with so few games left to play. This is one that could kind of bury them a little bit. And, they have not been good without him. So, unfortunate, not to mention that Jordan Tyson's not healthy and his status is up in the air, and he's obviously been in and out of late. So, that's just really tough news. I just keep thinking about how some teams have been able to just get through it and maintain their health, and maybe they've had things here and there. BYU's had injuries, like Jack Kelly, for example, but it hasn't super affected them. But as we've seen with Arizona State, it has affected their 2025, and Tech, it remains to be seen how much it affects theirs. So I want to see the best players play, and I hate that this year Sam Leavitt, probably his last year on campus, we're getting less than 100% of him physically and also in playing in all these games. Yeah,
and Sims, of course, very experienced, but we also know that he's been around the block, and at times he is – at least he's a veteran, but at the time he can be a turnover machine. We've seen that before.
Yeah, this is also what you feared when Sam Leavitt decided to keep gutting through these injuries. Rather than doing the whole let him sit out like Behren Morton kind of a thing and heal up as best he can, he's trying to get out there and play because his team needs him. And so he ends up re-aggravating the injury. And that was kind of something we talked about with John Mateer and coming back for that Texas game of, come back. It's a big game, but dude, don't sacrifice the rest of the year if you do that potentially. And so Sam Leavitt coming back, don't know his medical enough to know, like, should he have sat out more or longer or whatever, but he did re-aggravate it trying to play. So I appreciate him toughening it out, but it did cost him at least this upcoming game, it looks like.
He left early, the field early in that loss to Houston, came back, and then Dillingham saying that he retweaked the injury at the end, got tweaked at the beginning, sent him in some imaging. We wanted to go back in. He said, he wanted to go back in. We said, no, you're done. We get imaging before you get back in, no matter how you feel. Now, with all the chaos in college football, when it comes to the coaching carousel, which we dug into quite a bit, there's still more to get to, of course, and every day, who knows? I spoke with a leading search firm for college football coaches who sent me this. I say spoke to him. We texted back and forth over the weekend. Here's a quote from him on where we are. And this is not breaking news, but it is. I think we both will agree that until the $20 million cap is even for the top 40 or 50 teams, some coaches are going to get the bad end of the scoreboard. And some of the coaches who've had the bad end of the scoreboard are at the top of that deal. Florida, LSU, Penn State. But that comes from a leading search firm, an executive that told me, he said, this is going to be a year where he hopes it's not the exception. He gets paid to find coaches and searches, but he said this is part of what we're seeing.
When he says the bad end of the deal, that's a bit of a loaded term, and I get it. They're getting fired, they're losing their jobs. You've got to fight back for credibility. But the bad end of that deal in every single one of these instances comes with a massive buyout that also hurts the team that's firing him. So everybody's getting the bad end of the deal when a coach gets fired. I think that programs need to set new realistic expectations of where and how programs can build and how quickly. And yeah, that does mean that the cap kind of has to be even for a lot of people throughout not just the top 40 or 50, but I hope for more, but at least for the top 40 or 50, when there are James Franklin's and Brian Kelly's getting fired with these massive buyouts that schools are not worried about paying, I think that needs to be reworked and re-envisioned. The problem is that there's so many cooks in the kitchen. This isn't the NFL where there's 32 teams and you can get 32 people in a room and have a vote where you could say, like, this is how we're going to do things and structure things. You have hundreds of schools and you're never really going to get that done, especially there's no, like, Jerry Jones owns the Cowboys. There's a bunch of Cowboys fans, but there's no Cowboys booster. There's nobody who can come in and tell Jerry, like, hey, Jerry, I'm going to stop buying season tickets if you don't fire the coach. So it's a little different thing. So they have to find some sort of happy medium in between what they were and what they're heading towards to make it work.
I get what you're saying. There's 32. They all basically get the same thing, some a little bit more based on marketing, et cetera, which is what Jerry started back in the mid-1990s. So the executive also sent me this quote. You guys tell me if it means much to you or not. Between anything that happens to you and your response, talk about college football program. Now, this is Viktor Frankl. He survived the Holocaust. He wrote thousands of books, I think, hundreds of books, and also had a lot of different sayings. There is, between anything that happens to you and your response, there is a space. In that space, you have the power to choose your response.
Yeah, that's a great quote. And for these coaches, so here's what I wonder about James Franklin and Brian Kelly in particular. Billy Napier, like, you had these big jobs. It's not, unforeseen for somebody to fail at one place and then hit it big at another. Bill Belichick was a failure in Cleveland and a huge success in New England because of a lot of different factors. So you have to determine the ones who become successful, like Tom Coughlin, right? Tom Coughlin got kind of run out of Jacksonville as their first coach and then came back and won Super Bowls for the Giants because he actually did look inward and say, how can I be better? How can I change this? It's really hard for anybody to do. Jimbo Fisher, same thing. If any of these guys want to get back in that have gotten these huge buyouts to go away, and to be successful and hit those goals, they have to decide what they're going to change about themselves and how it worked out in this program and what they learned. That's the hardest thing for anybody in any walk of life to do, but that's what they're going to have to do to be successful again.
Yeah, this guy, again, Viktor Frankl, from the Holocaust, wrote a bunch of different books. The ones who set a positive tone, no matter what's happening around them, they grow and they set free. everyone around him. He's talking about college coaches and all the stories. And my God, Garrett, I sent you maybe one or two. I hope I did, that you got them, on Brian Kelly and some of the experiences that former players, et cetera, had. And yeah, it's also easy to pile on after he is out the door. Meanwhile, Kirby Smart on what happened with Brian Kelly and everything else. I know it's high expectations. He's talking about the job at LSU. I coached at LSU, and a guy once told me, listen to this, that office you're in, that's not your office. You're borrowing it. And I knew right then, if you didn't win, you wouldn't be there or here very long. That is the intensity of what Kirby Smart was said when he was on staff at LSU.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's got a similar fan base, although I don't think anybody's quite like LSU in the way that they do things. But yeah, it is what it is. And look, if Kirby Smart, one of the things that he's really good at is adapting. If he learned that from Nick Saban. The day he stops adapting is the day that they come for him too, to national championships or not. There's no promises made, especially in coaching. So, but yeah, he understands what the game is better than most right now.
Yeah, can we just acknowledge that this is how it is? Like, I don't think we need Kirby Smart to let us know. Although it is fun to hear him talk about his time at LSU. But
right,
yeah,
that's why we used it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to hear him talk about that. But yeah, this is the way that it is. It's high stakes. If you don't win, you get fired, and it doesn't matter how much money you're making. They'll find a buyout if they want you gone. It doesn't matter how you win. If it's not national championships the way they want them, then you're gone. And yeah, that's what it is. And I think we all need to stop being sort of surprised by it and oh my God, I can't believe LSU. How can you not believe that LSU did that? That's totally an LSU thing to do, is to go say this isn't good enough. Let's fire Brian Kelly and find tens of millions of dollars and go make a coaching change. That's exactly LSU. What would be surprising, guys, is if they didn't fire Brian Kelly and they just sat on and said, we'll give it more time. That would be surprising. Them doing let's just cut the big check and move on. That's the unsurprising thing, because that's college football. And so, yeah, I bet Kirby did have somebody tell him that. And I bet you somebody at Georgia said the same thing to one of his assistants, and the same thing in Tuscaloosa. And that's the game you sign up for. So, yeah, I mean, he's a guy that knows it as well as anybody. And certainly LSU's probably as much of a pressure-packed spot as any spot in the country. So, yeah, man, I bet it was intense, especially for a young coach to deal with, but probably great seasoning for what was to come. And so, yeah, that's just the way that it is. He's just speaking the truth. And so I don't think really any of this should come as much as a surprise at this point.
It's not. And I wouldn't have used Kirby. We've heard him, but I didn't. I thought, man, that's pretty interesting. He was a younger coach at the time, and he heard that at LSU. Marcus Freeman took over Notre Dame, has done a hell of a job there when Brian Kelly took the job at LSU. Brian Kelly hired him at Notre Dame. He was asked this week, of course, about his former boss who brought him to Notre Dame.
I've said this previously, you never want to see anybody lose their job. That person, the coaches, the families, the people affected, the players, especially somebody you know, right? And at the end of the day, you're always rooting for, right? Coach Kelly gave me an opportunity to come here, and, I'm always rooting for him. But it's also the profession we've chosen, We've chosen this profession, and we know that can be a result of choosing this profession. But it's really, you asked about the state, the state of college football. It is what it is. Like it or not like it, it is what it is. And you can't worry about that. You got to worry about giving your all to this team and putting this program in a position to have success. Right? And I think I've said this previously, but it's a reminder to be grateful for what you have. Because if you're not grateful for what you have, you'll find a way to lose. And I'm not talking about a coach. I'm talking about in life. Like, if you're not grateful for what you have, you're going to find a way to lose it. And that's, again, every time I hear some of those things, reminder that, man, the gratitude I have for this opportunity at this place with the people I get to work with, the players I get to be involved with, man, I'm grateful.
That's a great piece and comments. And Craig, he brought up what you said. It's part of what you do when you get in the business. Coaches know that they're hired to be fired. And it's a, what have you done for me lately business? And that's the guy that brought him to Notre Dame, eventually head coach because Kelly went to LSU.
Yeah, I commend Marcus Freeman for showing his respect there, because I'm sure could have probably wound up and taken a shot at Brian Kelly if he really wanted to, but he went the classy route. And so I'm not surprised that Marcus Freeman did that. And that's a smart thing to do. No need to pile on at this point. Everybody else is doing that. And sounds from the sounds of it like a lot of it is deserved with some of the stories that are coming out. But yeah, I mean, just a second ago, I'm not trying to be like, I mean, the Kirby quote's cool, but like it's in the grand scheme of things, like, yeah, that's what it is. Like, it's not surprising. It is what it is, like he said. And so, yeah, that's the most basic way to say it is like, yeah, it's crazy these coaches get fired with this much money still left on their contract. It's crazy they get fired after having seemingly some success, just maybe not enough. It's crazy that there's people lining back up after cutting, tens of millions of dollars of checks to get this last guy in and then out to go, then cut more checks to get the guy in. I mean, it just speaks to the passion and why this sport of college football is so great and so crazy and so insane sometimes, for better and worse. But that is the nature of the beast. So nobody should be looking around going, I can't believe Brian Kelly. Yeah, you totally can believe that. I can't believe. No, you totally can believe that, because there's nothing that shouldn't be believable at this point with what we've seen happen over the last few years in this sport. So it's all like, if he doesn't win for like a year in a row, he's very much could be on the way out. And you're like, that's crazy. He's been in the playoff. It's college football in 2025. Like, that's my point. And so he gets it. I think all coaches get it. I think Kirby gets it. And he learned that lesson very quickly at LSU, right? And carried that with him the rest of the way. And now all these years later, he's had his success, and he's watching that old spot that he was told about, that you better win or die. And he's watching them make this massive change, knowing full well that the school he's at, no matter what he's done, could be that same school doing that to him here in a couple of years if he doesn't hold up his end of the bargain. Look at Dabo and Clemson.
Yeah, the same money that hired him and brought him from wherever he was and got rid of the other guy is the same money that will fire you and give you a buyout when they fire you if you don't get it done.
I mean, I know Notre Dame probably seems like they act differently than an LSU does, but it's a school that also is trying to win at the highest level, and it seems like he's entrenched himself there, so I don't think he's in any danger. But we know all it takes is a bad season or two, and then anything's up for grabs, anything and everything. I mean, for Dabo, it's been building. He's still got enough power that he hasn't had that wrested away from him just yet, but I don't think he's far off if they continue on their trajectory, which is insane to think about when you reflect back on where we were just a few years ago. But, yeah, that's the carousel nowadays. It's as busy and interesting as ever, but it's also as brutal as ever to be a college football coach. And before somebody pops off and says it, like, yes, they're making tons of money. So that's the trade-off. So there is that. If they weren't making tons of money, I don't think a lot of these guys would be doing this. That's part of the
absolutely
pull.
Not.
So, yeah, there's a lot of money to be made, but there's very little job security. So that's that. Some jobs have great health insurance, but the pay is not great. But it is what it is. Like Marcus Freeman said, it is what it is. It
had a very Godfather 2. This is the business we've chosen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of a vibe to it.
Yeah.
When he was talking about, like, look, that's the bit. Like, in Godfather 2, they had to, like, they were kind of making amends of, like, well, this guy got killed and this guy got killed, and this is the business we've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what it is. It's kind of those same rules to some extent of, you want to make all this money, you want to have all this, there is now an
king of campus.
Yeah, you want to be all that, there is an inherent risk that comes with that. The people will turn on you fast. There's only one currency that means anything, and that's wins. That is wins. And if you don't continually pay that currency back to the fans, then they're done with you.
And here's what's kind of bizarre to me, and seeing some of the, like, I can't believe this. And I know a lot of it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, that's really what it is. It's just when you read it, it doesn't always come across that way. But this is not exclusive to college football.
No.
Like, NFL coaches have no security whatsoever. I mean, basketball coaches come and go like it's nothing. Managers change all the time in baseball. Like, it's just, that's coaching now. Like, coaching is win now, unless it's a very unique situation where we basically tell you have a runway of like a year or two. But outside of that, like, it's win now or your time is ticking no matter what. And no matter what the contract says, there are some contracts that might keep you on a year longer than you would have with a different type of contract. But for the most part, we're talking college football, college basketball, whatever. There's no buyout too big if the fans are passionate enough to want to make a change.
If you don't get people to show up at whatever you do in life, whether, especially this is, I think I saw Conundrum say it, it's an entertainment business too.
Yes,
if
it is.
No one watches your movies, guess what? Or if nobody comes to your comedy, stand-up comedy, guess what? If nobody comes to your restaurant, guess what? And it's just, in this case, what we focus in a lot. Of course, we love it in college football. Meanwhile, Jeff Traylor has been under heat. They have not done well this year. And they play Thursday night. And I sent him a note just as a friend. He sent back a note. He was a part of an interview with ESPN. This is the tweet, or the text back to me. Tom Luganbill was on the phone with him. He said, Luganbill asked me yesterday how I have handled getting some of the negative from social media. And there has been a lot. Remember, he could walk on water for a long time. In prepping for an ESPN segment, I told him David Smoak started all of this BS when he started the website Smoaky.com, and he laughed his ass off. And I told Jeff I was going to use that text in the quote. And here's a guy that a lot of people wanted, was very much involved in the coaching hire when Baylor hired Matt Rule, by the way. And then, of course, Dave Aranda. He's not quite up on these charts like he's been. He's going through it, and he's the one that took UTSA to a different level. But then again, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, exactly. It's a prime example of it doesn't matter who you are, what you've done. Like, you've got to keep winning and you got to maintain, or you will be out of there. And Jeff Traylor, you would think, would have damn near a lifetime contract at UTSA. He wasn't their first coach, but he was their best coach, is their best coach in their very short history. I mean, you're comparing him to Larry Coker, who got it off the ground, and then Frank Wilson, who was not very good.
Who's now the interim at LSU.
Interim at LSU, but he wasn't very good at UTSA, so he got pushed out of there eventually for Traylor, and that's their entire history of head coaches is Coker, Wilson, and Traylor. And Traylor's the one that's had them in a bowl game every single year that he's been there. This year, it's cutting it close. They've got to go 3-2 down the stretch to get there, and I don't know if they will or not, but that would be their first time missing a bowl game. So the very first time you might miss a bowl game after 5 years of making it, after being, in the mix as far as one of the better G6 programs out there, 1 year of not making a bowl game, maybe, because it's still not official, and it's still very much in play. That's enough to get you ran out of San Antonio, a program that has respectfully no history to speak of whatsoever, where they need to be throwing their weight around as though they deserve something.
It can barely vote.
Yeah, it
can't get car insurance with a lower rate.
Right. They have no room to sit there and act like they have demands for like some status that they should be meeting at all times. Although he has had them successful enough to where they now do have that. Like, he's directly responsible for the bar that he now must meet. Unfortunately, that's the way it's worked out. I think he'll be fine. I think also we shouldn't take everybody who bitches on social media as the crowd of the entire school, because there's oftentimes people who are not that smart that bark about things they want. And really, when you check in on the majority's like, that's not what we like. That's ridiculous. So sometimes it can feel like there's 500 people, but really what it is, it's like 5 people tweeting 100 times. I've told you guys that before. It's like you're getting a bunch of complaints. Is it 500 people complaining, or is it 5 people complaining 100 times each?
Yeah, and I would caution any of those fans who are doing that, whether it's 500 or 5 times 100, that, look, you are, especially at a school like UTSA, you're going to have some run where things work out for you and you get guys. But then also, because of the era of college football you're in, now you almost have to run things like the friggin' Kremlin so that people don't know what you're doing. They don't know that we can't get anybody. Oh, our guys suck, all that stuff. And because you got to hide what you have, because sometimes they come in and take those 2 guys that could be the difference makers in your conference. And then sometimes your conference is really good. Like their schedule, there are 3 games in a row that they have. They just lost to North Texas. Then they have Tulane, and then they have USF. Okay, take any other league, give me the comparable 3 teams in a row, and that's the 3 best teams in that league he's got to beat in a row. He's not going to have that schedule every year. Get through the year, figure out where you are. If you wind up 6-6, great. It means you beat one of those teams, and you've got Army, who's good at the end of the year. Like, you've got some tough things ahead of you in a league that's good.
They used to be the team that teams were about to play,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, God, we got to play
but look,
them.
next
Memphis.
year, because Jeff Traylor is a guy who's always growing and adapting and changing and all that. You can fire him. He'll find a job that he might have more resources at and then be really good. So,
yeah, I mean, they've been trying to hold on to him.
Exactly.
Now, I do wonder with him, like how much he's decided to stay and how much he hasn't had an option to go elsewhere. Because I do think he's had times where he's had to say no. I also don't think he's up for every single job he's ever been mentioned for either. Like, I don't think that he had the choice necessarily, right? He didn't tell Baylor no or Arkansas no. He just wasn't their option, right? So he's somebody I'm very curious at this point of like, what more really could you do at San Antonio or UT San Antonio, UTSA to change your trajectory all that much? I'm just curious when he gets that call. And when the Arkansas job opened up, that was a place you go, oh, Jeff Traylor has been there before. That he's a guy who seems like he's set up for a step up in coaching. But then there's obviously a lot of other hot names that are maybe more enticing for some fans of Arkansas or name another. I mean, if Baylor opened up, then I'm sure he would get another look from Mac Rhodes. And I'm sure they could just go back to their notes from the last couple of times and maybe third time's a charm for him. But yeah, he's a guy who's done a lot of good at UTSA, but it has been interesting and somewhat humorous to see the crowd kind of turning on him because they're having their first really rocky season. And look, they've been on a slightly downward trajectory for a couple years, but it's not like 11 wins to 3. It's like 11 to 9 to 7, and now they're at 3, and now people are freaking out. So that just, again, that comes with the territory, that comes with the job.
And when some other opportunities arose or appeared to be, then, they kept giving him more money and then longer deal and this and that. And there's still a lot of work to be done, and that goes with it too. So when we come back, we're going to have Taylor McCarg. He'll join us. Shahan Jararaja today at 4. We will have many more. In fact, we got a couple of nuggets on UT and their offense. I thought about this. I'm pissed I didn't put this out there, but an interesting note from Rod Babers about the UT offense and the players of the week in the Big 12 and the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. We'll have that too. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time and your access. And if you haven't hit the like button or subscribe to our channel, we'd appreciate you doing that too. Garrett Ross, Brandon Rowe, and Andrew Valade today running the mothership. This is 365 Sports. The Baylor alumni group with Paul Thorpe and Doug Furch, it's a huge week for them. Yeah, the football season hasn't gone very well, but this is homecoming weekend for Baylor. I said this today on the Big 12 radio hit with Ari and James. Can you imagine if they cannot beat UCF at home Baylor on homecoming weekend or during? Man, I don't know. That to me would be like an immediate thing, right? People are thinking it should be that way anyway, or no, just be patient, all the above. But they have a big weekend. No matter what happens on the field or what the record is right now, they're having the class of 2015 reunion remix. They're having, golden graduation for those who have been out 50 years. Golly, one of these days, that's going to be me. The class of 1985's 40th reunion, and so much more that they'll have throughout the weekend, starting not just on the game day and homecoming day on Saturday, but even on Thursday and Friday. You can, by the way, the Hurd Welcome Center and Dutton Garage on campus, they're going to have the 2025 Baylor Alumni Awards ceremony. If you want to be a part of that, it's $100 a person, a table of 8. Well, yeah, do the math. It's $800. Contact them by baylor.edu or on the Facebook page with Doug Furch and Paul Thorpe.
My go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Golfballs.com carries the latest selection of golf balls, clubs, and gear from brands such as Titleist, TaylorMade, and Callaway. Golfballs.com remains the world leader in golf customization. And of course, online at golfballs.com.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
It's back 0% for 72 months on all 2025 Ram 1500 trucks during the Drive into Fall event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Check out a 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab with a massive $16,000 off, or a 2025 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $12,000 off, and both at 3.9 for 72 months. And if you drive a Ford, Toyota, or GM, get an extra $1,500 bonus cash. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin. And you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
It's football season, and we can create your outdoor tailgating spaces that is actually a part of your home. Bifold doors that tie in the inside and the outside, and you can gain anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 square feet living space, all while taking in the big game, poolside. Call us at Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath, where we can create your unique tailgating space.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Ooh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
365 Sports in this 3 o'clock hour, including Taylor McCarg, who is a busy man, CBS Sports broadcast analyst, and was at the North Dakota State-South Dakota State game. And I said, Taylor, to you earlier, we've had the coaches on from both of those programs, but if North Dakota State calls just any FBS school and the football operation guy goes to the head coach and said, hey, oh, by the way, North Dakota State's on line 1, and the coach would hang up on him. They are so good, and they dominated a good. What was it like to be a part of that broadcast?
Yeah, it was funny. I told some people this week, outside of the game itself, it was as much fun as I've had doing a game in my, 6 years of doing this. It was just unfortunate the game was a blowout, but once it kicked off, it got away from South Dakota State almost immediately. Their starting quarterback out for that game, but leading up to it, we stayed in Sioux Falls. The game was in Brookings, and it felt like, and I mean this in the best way possible, it almost had a little bit of like the Texas high school football kind of feel, where it was important to everyone. And almost like your town shuts down for this game. And it was so unique and so special that, Brookings is a very small town in South Dakota, but you get into the kind of city lines of around the town, and it's all Jackrabbits gear. It's all blue and yellow, and everyone's going to this game. And we get there, and it's a sellout crowd. They set a new capacity record for attendance in that game. And again, once it kicked off, North Dakota State is unbelievable. I think they're the best team by a pretty wide margin, even when South Dakota State's fully healthy. I think that's, to your point, I think that's a team that there are a number of FBS schools that not just would lose to North Dakota State, but I think would lose by multiple scores. There are some Power 4 schools that would lose to North Dakota State. So I completely agree. I don't care who you are. North Dakota State and South Dakota State specifically, do not schedule those schools. If you are an FBS athletic director, it is not worth it.
Taylor, there is carnage in the coaching world all over the place. LSU, the latest. You cover the American Conference USA, the FCS well. Who are some of the guys that you think should get shots, even maybe at some of these bigger jobs, that are ready to be the next Lance Leipold or Kalen DeBoer that could take one of these programs that's looking for, I only want a guy who's been in the SEC, or I want Lane Kiffin. They can find somebody that could be wildly successful given the resources.
Yeah, I'll give you 3 names, and I'll start with the one that is like the worst kept secret in the world. But I think Dan Mullen probably takes one of these jobs from UNLV. I don't know which one it is, but I think Florida fans, if they could do it over again, would probably say, you know what, we would take him back. I think Dan Mullen is a fantastic coach. I think there's going to be an opportunity for him to leave UNLV. And again, I don't know which one, but I think he's probably at top of the list for a number of programs. 2 that are kind of guys that they have not taken the leap, or they haven't been at a P4 school yet, but that I think do an unbelievable job. John Summerall at Tulane, I think, is one of the best coaches in the country. And I think if you look at how Summerall has built his programs and how successful he was at Troy on the defensive side of the ball, they do the exact same thing at Tulane, and how the buy-in that he gets from his kids. I think that's something that there are a number of jobs that I think he would be a great fit for. Florida is the one that stands out to me. I don't know if he is a big enough name. I think that fan base, the names that they're throwing out, it sounds like, there's a report that they went after Freeman at Notre Dame. Who knows if that's even true, but that's the kind of name that you feel like that fan base wants. But I think Summerall would be a fit for a place like Florida. I think he gets the South and recruiting, and I think does a phenomenal job with his roster management. And then the last one that is under the radar right now, and I don't know that he would leave yet, is Sean Lewis at San Diego State. Sean Lewis was at Kent State and got them to 2 bowl games, which, if you follow college football and the G6 teams, getting Kent State to a bowl game is like winning a conference championship anywhere else. And I mean that sincerely. And the fact that he's got San Diego State, they're playing unbelievable. They've got 2 shutouts already this year and held another team to 3 points. Defense is phenomenal, and they completely overhauled their roster on the offensive side. I think he's a winner. He does it the right way. He is a program builder. And I think, I don't know if it's going to be this cycle, but if I had to buy stock in 2 coaches, I would say Summerall, Tulane, and Sean Lewis at San Diego State, excuse me.
So, Taylor, there's a program that a few years ago was all about the big splashes and being as flashy as possible. And then after that didn't really work out to the full success they wanted. They decided to go get a guy who was very well known and very popular, but more of just kind of a hard-nosed coach and more, I think, of what they need. And that was Texas A&M. And I'm wondering how many people take a cue and go for the splash versus the substance, in some cases with all of these various coaching jobs. But you've seen A&M for a very long time. How different does this feel from even when you've seen them at their best previously?
Mike Elko was. It's funny if you go back and think about Texas A&M fans revolting to make sure that Stoops from Kentucky does not get that job, and how quickly that's been turned around. And that A&M fans, I think, feel appreciative that there's an adult in the room. That towards the end with Jimbo, it just felt like a little bit of a circus, and all of the issues that they had with A&M, it was the roster turnover. That was the beginning of NIL, and they were going out and they were securing top 1 or 2 or 3 recruiting classes, but spending a ton of money. And then you look up the next year and all of that money was wasted because those guys are no longer in the program. And now it feels like they've solidified themselves. Are you going to find a Mike Elko in this class? Maybe. I think there are a couple of the guys that I just mentioned. do any of these programs, and I'm talking about the top level, like an LSU or Florida, do any of them take somebody that's more based on substance and merit at maybe it's at a group of 6 level, as opposed to we've got to go get somebody like a Brian Kelly, for example, that was never a fit for LSU, spent his entire career in the Midwest, and go all the way back to his opening press conference, or not the opening press conference, but the opening pep rally when he's in the gym at LSU and he's got this fake Southern drawl, and you're thinking, this is going to be a disaster. And it was. I mean, how he handled that program and how inauthentic it felt, I think it's fair to say it was a disaster and a terrible hire by LSU. And so now for LSU, as they restart, I think they're right there with Florida on trying to, and maybe even more so at LSU, trying to find somebody that has a little bit of cachet to their name. Lane Kiffin, it's funny. I mean, his name pops up for every job right now that it's at the highest level. I think Lane Kiffin would take the LSU job. I don't know that he would take Florida. And that's just my speculation. But it will be interesting to see if Kiffin leaves, just a continued carousel of what happens where. I think, again, going back to Summerall at Tulane, he is really well positioned because of his experience in the South for one of these SEC jobs. I don't think it's LSU, but Florida or potentially Ole Miss, if that opens up, I think he'd be a fit.
I don't know if you saw this, but Chris Vanini wrote an article and released it today, theathletic.com, about John Summerall, who he's known when at Tulane, from championships to pallets of peanut butter. I'll send you a link if you haven't seen it. And then I'll put it in the chat room as well, because he does seem to have, like, not perfect, because I don't know if anyone's perfect, but it seems like that is a really good match. And if it's not LSU, then I'm sure somebody, and I want to see Tulane, of course, hold on to him if they can too. So, Taylor, with all that's going on, and there are games that we saw this past weekend too, which one, in your opinion, I'm going to do Big 12 first, in your opinion, was the best win? Was it BYU coming back from Iowa State? Was it Cincinnati continuing their run? Utah destroyed Colorado. Which one do you think was the best win?
I don't know if it was the best one, but I'll tell you the one that surprised me most was Houston.
Okay.
And I have been a Houston supporter and a Willie Fritz supporter and believer in Willie Fritz, but I thought that this was too big of a leap for them. I thought with the way that they played against Texas Tech and at sort of top of the conference roster, I thought that showed that they're not quite there yet to compete for the league, but that this is still a much improved team. And I remember saying back with you guys all the way back in August that I thought this team had a chance to be maybe the biggest surprise. And I meant like 7 or 8 wins, that they would get to a bowl game and turn around from last year, where I believe they were either 4-8 or 5-7 a year ago. But the way that they went on the road and the way that they won, go look at the box score of that game. This was not fluky that they won that game. Now, they almost blew it late. Arizona almost came back. But Connor Wegman going for over 300 yards of total offense and making big plays running the football, over 100 yards on the ground against Arizona State. I don't know. That to me was the one that surprised me most. I thought that would be a game that Arizona State would win and win handily at home. But Houston now, I mean, they've solidified themselves. Look at the schedule the remainder of the way for Houston. I don't know that there's a challenge left for them. The toughest game left, you could say, is Baylor, but I'm not sure that Dave Aranda hasn't been fired by the last game of the season. And what sort of effort does Baylor play with for the final game of the season right after Thanksgiving? So I think it's totally possible that we see Houston in the Big 12 championship. I think the same thing for Cincinnati, which, how about those two teams that 3 years ago they were in the American Conference, and now fast forward right there in the mix for the Big 12 championship, and they will both be playing meaningful football for the month of November.
The Big 12 has a knack for doing that. TCU, was good. They didn't win the championship outright, but when they came in, they were good pretty much right away. The gift of the Big 12 is that you could be a competitor in like a minute if you do it right. And it seems like everybody, BYU, everybody but UCF so far in that little group has hit well. Taylor, if you were a program that hadn't fired your coach yet, would you be willing to sit it out and sustain the beating through next year just because it's going to be really hard to get in the mix, especially if you're a program like Auburn, say, and may not get the guy that you really want because there are 4 other SEC jobs open?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I would say for Auburn, no, I would not fire Hugh Freeze yet because I think Auburn's roster top down is really competitive, and I think they're just a quarterback away from being a pretty good SEC team. I think that's not the only issue that they have. But you think about the weapons they have at receiver, they've got a really good defensive front. To me, I don't think it's been enough time for Hugh Freeze to fire him yet. I would say 1 more year, and they need to hit on a quarterback. The last 2 transfer portal quarterbacks, it just has not been very good for Auburn at all. On the other side of that, we'll use Baylor as the example again. If you are staring apathy in the face with your fan base, Auburn, for example, there's no apathy. They're going to show up next year. They're going to be dialed in, ready to go. It doesn't matter. They're going to be dialed in the rest of this season. Baylor, on the other hand, I think that's one where I hate this time of year. I know firings impact a number of people. We talk about the firings and the buyouts and how that impacts the head guy, and that's great. But there are so many people's lives and families' lives that get impacted by this stuff, and that is not lost on me. However, I think it's time to make a change in Waco. I think you go back to the Kansas State game that Baylor wins, and in the second half, there's like 1,000 people in the stands. And I think the way that they're playing and sort of the lack of sense of urgency, it just looks like a team that I don't know that they really care. And I don't know that that's 100% fair for those kids, but you guys know better than I do. I don't know how excited Baylor fans are and how, from an NIL perspective and fundraising perspective, how fired up is your fan base if you've got to run it back 1 more year?
There's no excitement, Taylor. I used the word malaise the other day, and I think everybody agreed that was kind of the best way to sum it up. So, yeah, I mean, there's no juice right now. There's no like, oh, well, just wait till we get this recruit. There's like none of that going on. So, yeah, it just feels like it's kind of a lost cause at this point, but we'll see how Mack Rhodes handles all of that. But yeah, there's no energy around the program. The least amount that I've seen in 10 plus years. And that's the only time it was comparable was when they were going through the entire scandal. But even then people still cared. They were just angry and, sad and whatever else, but I've never seen it quite like this. So we'll see on that. Taylor, man, there's only so much time, but I guess kind of what do you make coming out of this weekend as far as the league race goes for the Big 12? Arizona State, Sam Leavitt can't stay healthy. Neither can Jordan Tyson. Texas Tech going to Manhattan where K-State looks kind of feisty all of a sudden. What do you make of the race? Is it BYU or bust, or is Utah going to have something to say? Where are you on all that?
Yeah, it's interesting. For our show Inside the 12 tomorrow, we're going to sort of talk through this on scenarios, and the league has said for forever they really want to get to 2 teams in the college football playoff. I think this is another year where that doesn't happen. I think you're seeing the number of upsets that we've seen down the stretch. I think that'll continue. I think you will have some teams and spots. Let's look at Texas Tech this week against Kansas State, right? That's a game that Texas Tech with Behren Morton back, you would think that they win, but Kansas State the last 2 weeks have played a lot better versus TCU and Baylor. And so could we see Texas Tech lose this week? Absolutely. I think some combination of BYU, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, now you got to throw Houston in the mix. Is Dampier healthy for Utah? All those teams at the top, a lot of them play one another, right? We get BYU and Tech next week in a massive game. I think if there's one scenario that you're hoping for, if you're a fan of the league, to get 2 teams into the playoff, it is some combination of those teams. You need one to win out. Let's use like a Texas Tech, for example, and then whoever plays them in the Big 12 championship gets there with, well, it doesn't matter if they win. You need Texas Tech to get there with just the 1 loss, lose in the Big 12 championship, and then you have the winner and Texas Tech that get in. I think that's probably your only scenario where the league gets 2 teams in.
And right now, based on the fact BYU's playing them, not this week, as you mentioned, next week, that would be like that twosome, with all due respect to Cincinnati and even Houston, would be a team that is getting a lot of attention, just came off a classic routing Iowa State in the second half, down by whatever it was. So that's That's kind of the combination there.
And I need to put some respect on Cincy's name because I keep forgetting to mention them. I go BYU or bust. Well, hell, they're 5-0 too, so I should also include them. I just want to mention that.
Yeah, and the one that Houston is the one. Just people that are listening to this, go look at Houston's schedule the rest of the way.
Oh, yeah.
There is a very clear path that they are 11-1. Their only loss is Texas Tech, and now you're looking at. It's a very similar scenario that what happened with SMU last year. If they are 11-1, by that point they're probably hovering around the top 10 when they get to the end of the season. And then if they were to lose the Big 12 championship to a Texas Tech or a BYU, whoever it is the committee going to leave them out at 11-1 and punish them for having played in a conference championship? To me, that's the scenario that I know the committee does not want, because I think you would be looking at a very similar type team with Houston that was probably a year ahead of schedule, and maybe the schedule was a little fortunate for them. But gosh, if they're 11-1 and lose the Big 12 championship, I don't know how you leave them out.
Well, both those schools were fighting the same battle for the longest of time when they were eliminated in the race to get into the Big 12. So that would be kind of a nice Cinderella story too. Thank you, Taylor. What game do you have this week?
I'm back up at UConn. So I've got UAB and UConn, and my Owls beat UConn last week. So on the one hand, very happy for Rice. On the other hand, we'll see what kind of mood Coach Moore is in. That's 3 overtime losses for UConn this year. 5-3, all 3 losses on the road in overtime. Kind of unbelievable.
Enjoy it. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your time. Thanks for jumping on with us. That's Taylor McCark, CBS Sports, and with us on, really, it kind of depends on his football schedule, TV schedule that he has as well. And we'll have Shahan Jararaja in just a moment.
Yeah, I mean, good to get Taylor's thoughts on a variety of things. I think it's an example of, I realized of just how much this sport's become like the NBA and the NFL as far as the off the field making as much excitement and headlines as the on the field stuff does. We kind of touched on that earlier at the start of the show, but it's true. I mean, there's all these games this weekend, and it's like the LSU job and the Florida job and who replaces who and all that. And so it's a very fun and exciting time right now, and you can't fit it all in one conversation with Taylor. So got to pick and choose. But yeah, it's always fun to talk to him and get his insights, whether it's on the field or the off the field stuff. And I definitely think he mentioned some logical and good candidates for some of the lesser knowns, maybe big picture, big popularity wise, that could very well be taking some of these jobs. So I know we're only going to ramp up that talk with him, but yeah, that's the nature of the beast right now with so many openings and so many huge games to come here over the next 4 weeks. It's just there's too much. It's a good problem in a way.
It is a great problem. Absolutely is. And 5 teams, of course, in the Big 12 in the top 25. Can they stay there? Because there's going to be some attrition like there is with everybody else, but some places get a little bit more of a bubble than others.
Well, I'm more interested to see where they are in the playoff rankings.
You wonder what's going to happen there. They're going to have to still fight, scratch, and claw. BYU probably gets the most eyeballs as far as, hey, they've earned it. Tech, because of the publicity, and then the Houston or whoever else, Cincinnati, who was there, remember, just 3 years ago or so.
He's right about Houston. I know we have to go, but that schedule at the end is very manageable for the Cougars.
Isn't it crazy if you win a couple of games and then a couple of games go your way you didn't expect? I'm talking about not a coach, but the fan covering them. And then next thing you know, there's a schedule that does open up, as you mentioned. When we come back, it will be Shahan Jararaja. He has a lot to say about what's next for Baylor. He thinks there should be somebody new that's next for Baylor, plus his thoughts about the coaching carousel and more. And this is 365 Sports. Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store. Lake Air Drive in Waco. You want steaks that are delicious and you want them cut the way you want them cut. I call them about, I'd say once every other month, about every 8 weeks. And I say, hey, I'd like to come by there and I want 4 good ribeyes, 1.25 inches thick. And there's usually select and prime and whatever choice. And then I say, I also want 4 or 6 bone-in ribeyes, same thickness. And man, they're so good. And I also get a couple of fillets along the way because I want to do that sometimes just to enjoy putting that in maybe in the broiler and letting that just enjoy itself and all the juices inside of that cast iron skillet. They have a full-service butcher shop. They have a full-service bakery. They have a lot of the knickknacks of what you need when it comes to seasoning, sauces, seasonings, and more. And if you want something for tailgate Saturday, tri-tip brisket, sausage, chicken, you want it, cold beer and wine, Waco Custom Marketplace on Lake Air Drive in Waco.
I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
No car payments for 90 days when you bring your auto loan home to Genco. Get 4.79% for 48 months and make no payments until 2026. Plus, get entered to win 3 months of no car payments. Bring your auto loan home to Genco. Lower your interest rate, save money, and no payments until 2026. For details, go to GencoFCU.org.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Tuesdays, most every Tuesday in the 4 o'clock hour, we lead off with Shahan Jayarajah, CBS Sports, and he came out firing today on a couple of things. And let's start off with your column. We've discussed it. This is the week where you do it more often now than others, and the heat is on. Dave Aranda, Shahan, you're an alum. You wrote a column. You think it's time?
Yeah, I do, ultimately. I mean, here's the reality, right? I think that Dave Aranda took over at a very difficult time in the history of college football, frankly, having to deal with the pandemic, having to deal with the new changes to transfer portal, to NIL, now House case. But I do think that 4 years after winning a conference championship is probably enough. You just see this team, and it's been plagued by the same stuff over and over and over again. It's slow starts, it's poorly coached defenses, it's missing tackles, it's having bad game plans, it's not having great energy on the sidelines. They managed to fight back from a talent perspective so much in the second half of games, but why are they consistently down in the first half of games, right? So I just think that this is an organization that obviously I think has done a great job of bringing some staff that I really like, bringing a lot of players that have played at a high level, but it just comes from the top. This is a team that continues to lose the same way. And by the way, heading into 2026, the vast majority of the best players on this team are off to the NFL or graduation. So it's not necessarily going to get better in 2026. I ultimately think that now is probably the time for a clean break. And again, I mean, Baylor hasn't fired a coach for football reasons since 2007. It's a little bit of an unprecedented moment in Baylor history.
Yeah, I was here that day. I had to interview the coach the day before. It was awkward, but he was a pro about it, Guy Morris. Shahan, I'm just not totally convinced that Mac will do it. I think that he really likes Dave. I think he has it in the back of his mind that this is going to be his Bill Belichick and the Browns, where it was what it was. It's over, and then Dave goes somewhere, and the light comes on, and he wins a title somewhere else.
I mean, and look, that's totally possible, right? There's no question about it. Dave Aranda knows how to coach ball and knows how to coach defense, even if it isn't necessarily happening at this place right now. But does Bill Belichick become Bill Belichick if he stays with the Cleveland Browns? Is there a magic switch that would have been flipped? Not necessarily. It wouldn't have necessarily helped the Cleveland Browns if he stays there 5 more years. He did have to move on. Now, obviously, the Browns never recovered from that, but I don't necessarily know that that would have changed anything to make a different decision. And I'll tell you what, right now, I think that Baylor football in this environment is a better job right now than what the Cleveland Browns is in the NFL, relatively speaking. So I totally do understand that perspective. Something that I've heard behind the scenes is like, especially when they decided to bring him back in 2023, which is a decision that I understood and I thought was probably the right one. The thing that you always heard is like, this is a guy who fits this place so well, who we feel like can maybe be our next Grant Taft, who can be somebody who is kind of the identity of the program is built in his image. He obviously has so many things about the way that he expresses his faith, his personality, his demeanor are all things that I think that Baylor really wanted to embrace. But the reality is this: if Baylor finishes this season below 500, like we all kind of expect at this point, that'll be 3 of the last 4 years finishing with a losing record. The only exception would be last year's 6-game winning streak, when they also started 2-4, by the way. So it just has been so inconsistent. And while I don't necessarily think that you fire him if he's, just for not winning championships, I do think that you are at a point where when you're looking at the inputs that are being put into this Baylor football program, they're better in 6-7. They're better than 4-4. They're better than 2-4 last year. And I think that at a certain point, again, maybe something else happens with Dave Aranda. Maybe he goes on to greatness somewhere else. I just don't think it's going to be at Baylor.
Shahan, a lot of good games last week. A little bit of a quieter schedule, but that means it probably will be chaotic as all hell because that's kind of how college football operates. But what were you, I guess, thinking about most top of mind coming out of last Saturday night? Was it the Brian Kelly firing? Was it A&M's big win to get Brian Kelly finally fired, or was it something else that happened last week? And kind of where was your head when it was all starting to settle down?
Yeah, I think for me, it was really on Texas A&M. I mean, for them to go on the road, I know obviously LSU has kind of been collapsing, but for them to go in and be up 49-18, I believe it was, before that last touchdown. Like, that is a beatdown. I don't care what LSU team you're playing against. To go into Death Valley at night and absolutely lay the wood the way that they did, that's not something you see very often, right? It's been a very long time since LSU has lost a game like that. And I think that, yes, obviously LSU has something to do with that, but Texas A&M had something big to do with that as well. That Saturday was the first time that I felt like Texas A&M might be a national championship caliber team. I think that you look at them right now, They're passing the ball at an incredibly high level with Marcel Reed throwing to Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver. They're running the ball at a high level. They just keep finding new running backs to throw out there, and it's working. Defensively, Cassius Howell has been one of the biggest additions of the season. He has 10 sacks now through the first 8 games of the year. And in the secondary, I think they're playing at a high level. And by the way, I didn't even mention on special teams where they created a touchdown as well, a 79-yard return from Casey Concepcion. They can beat you in any way. They are so talented. They are so well coached. They are so physical and tough. This is so different, in my opinion, from some of those A&M teams that you've seen over the past couple of years. It's a team that I think is really capable of going all the way.
By the past couple of years, he means always. But
hey, I wasn't there in the 30s. I can't speak to it.
Yeah, no. Okay. You remember when you're a kid and like the dad in the neighborhood would play all-time quarterback when you're like in the yard? I'm going to make you all-time AD, and we're going to rapid fire through open coaching jobs. So
let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start with LSU. You just go rapid fire who you're going to hire. LSU.
Really, really tough one. I think I'm going to say Lane Kiffin, but they really could do almost anything.
Penn State.
Yeah, another tough one. I'm going to go with Matt Rule, but I would not be surprised if they go a different direction.
Florida.
These are all tough, obviously.
Yeah.
If it were me, I'm going with John Summerall. I do have some reservations about whether they're going to go with another group of 5 coach, though.
Arkansas.
Yeah, man, this is a really tough game. I'll tell you what. I think that I go with Alex Golesh. His family has some ties to the Midwest. You kind of get a little bit of that overlap. So I'll go with Golesh for right now.
Okay, and last one, Oklahoma State.
That one's the easy one to me. I think Eric Morris should be their first primary target. I think he keeps a lot of that DNA, but also brings something different.
Do you have a preference if that Baylor job were to open up, Shahan?
Yeah, very early, obviously, and we know that if, assuming Mack Rhoades is doing the hire, he likes to spread his net wide. Nobody thought Dave Aranda, nobody thought Matt Rule, which is something that I really admire about Mack Rhoades, by the way. I think the 2 obvious candidates to me that I'd want kind of top of mind are Eric Morris up the road. I think that it would be really interesting to see him make a decision between Oklahoma State and Baylor. I think there's a lot of attractiveness of that Baylor job. The other one, though, it goes a little bit off board. Will Stein, the offensive coordinator at Oregon, is a really interesting name to me for a couple of reasons. One, I think that obviously he's a great offensive mind, and I think that Baylor fans would love to see, I think, an offensive coach after what these past couple of years have been with a defensive coach. Second, he is somebody who I think can win in a lot of different ways with his offense. Third, you're really importing that Oregon system down here is what you want more than anything else when it comes to player development, talent acquisition. Now, obviously, you're not playing with Uncle Phil's pocketbook, but I think that he still has, I think, a really smart way to approach roster building. And the other thing, too, he was the offensive coordinator at Lake Travis High School. He was Jeff Traylor's offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach at different times at UTSA. He knows this region. He knows this part of the country. Oregon has actually done a great job of recruiting Texas as well. I think he checks a lot of boxes if you want to go the coordinator routes.
I also saw your comments on Brian Kelly, which of course has been a dominant theme and a story throughout the last 72 hours. And the stories that are coming out, a lot of times it's easy to pick on somebody, throw them under the bus after they're gone. But we had kind of had an idea about this at LSU. What are your thoughts about him? And do you think he'll coach again?
It's an interesting question, right? Because I think that it's never been a secret that Brian Kelly can be a little bit of a tough guy to deal with. I think that was true even at Notre Dame. There's the famous story of, I think it was Matt LaFleur and Robert Saleh who kind of thought that they were going and invited to a party when they were at Central Michigan. They were actually recruited to move cars outside of the party at Brian Kelly's house. There have been examples of this over the years of Brian Kelly maybe not connecting well. But, I will say, I do feel like some of these stories that have come out of LSU feel a little bit worse. Obviously I have the situation with Kyron Lacey's family, who said that they never heard from Brian Kelly after Kyron Lacey tragically committed suicide. You have the situation with the player who had cancer in his brain and lost the ability to walk for a while. He said that his dad said that Brian Kelly was just not in touch with him very much at all. There was a story that came out of a former LSU player who was kind of pushed into medical retirement, and Brian Kelly didn't handle that situation very well in his mind. And again, there are just so many stories of people being like, he never talked to me, he never got to know me. Like, LSU is truly one of those programs where people pick the program, not the coach. Again, Brian Kelly doesn't have nothing to do with the recruits coming to campus, but LSU is a force unto itself. And you see the amount of people who say, man, I love LSU, I wanted to come to LSU, but I just never even got to know the head coach. Like, that's just something that's not acceptable in college football. And to me, I think one thing that surprised me is Brian Kelly is one of those coaches who really went up the ranks. He started in Division II at Grand Valley State. He went to FCS, to FBS, Cincinnati, to Notre Dame, to now at LSU. Like, you think that somewhere along the road, you realize kind of the value of having these relationships. And I think that that's going to make it very interesting to see whether he's hired somewhere else, because I don't think that any major program, at least, will want to deal with some of this outside stuff.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of the ones that are, it's a little more innocuous than not talking to a kid's family who died or had cancer or any of that. It's just like a lot of starters are like, I was a 2-year starter, and it was more of just a, hey, how you doing relationship, and there was no connection. Like every interaction you had was with the position coach or the coordinator, but not really Brian Kelly. And I think that, and I've thought this the last couple of years, I think the deity coaches, or the guys that want to be the deity coach, the Urban Meyer kind of people, are just going to have a hard time now, because there's a lot more exposure than there was before.
No question. And I think the other thing too is like the reality of being in the SEC and at LSU especially, like, you are a politician. That is your job when you take a job like this. We talked about this a few weeks ago with James Franklin. I think that being in central Pennsylvania gives a little bit of a unique perspective, even compared to other Big Ten jobs. But you need to understand, it's not explicitly your job to be out in the community and making friends. But this is what happens when you don't have friends to fall back on. The governor gets involved, administration, the Board of Regents gets involved. People have negative feedback for you behind the scenes as well. They're leaking stuff to reporters. Like, this is what happens when you don't build those bridges with a place. And I think, we had this big conversation the other day on the College Football Insiders podcast. And one thing that we said is, like, here's the reality, right? The problem isn't that Brian Kelly wasn't from Louisiana or wasn't from the Southeast. That's not what not fitting meant. It's that he's a prickly guy who doesn't necessarily care about making friends. And we talk about sort of the good old boy nature of the SEC a lot, but like, this is where it helps you. I think about a coach like Will Muschamp over at Florida and South Carolina. He got probably additional years that he wouldn't have gotten because people liked him, people supported him, and people wanted him around. If you burn those bridges, the first sign of trouble, they're going to throw you out the door.
Shahan, as far as the games this weekend, I'm just going to pick one just based on time and everything. Texas and Vanderbilt. Can Vandy possibly now go on the road and make it 3 straight top 25 wins? Or is Texas just going to keep on just finding ways to win, even though it's not always that impressive like last week in Starkville? What are your thoughts on this game?
This is an interesting one because I do think that Texas's defense matches up decently well with this Vanderbilt offense. And from a physicality perspective, they're going to be one of the biggest challenges that Vanderbilt has had since that Alabama game that they lost. Now, I also think that defensively, Vanderbilt's going to do a good job of keeping Texas's offense under control. We don't know at this point whether Arch Manning is going to be the starter or Matthew Caldwell, but the reality is no matter who the starter is, they've struggled to run the ball. And if Vanderbilt can make them one-dimensional, that's going to give them a chance to win. So I do have Vanderbilt winning a close game, but it's going to be a very low-scoring one. You're probably going to need to see some playmaking from Diego Pavia to get it over the finish line.
How about that? Vanderbilt right in the middle of it, Virginia right in the middle of it, Georgia Tech right in the middle of it, Texas Tech and BYU, and who knows, Cincinnati. Man, it's a lot of fun to see some of the fresh names inside of what is the race for the college football playoff. Thanks for your time, Shahan. Great story. And what you wrote. We had Sean Fulton responded to your column because I retweeted it and said you're going to be on, and he was asking me about questions about what is Aranda's strength. You answered a lot of the questions without me even bringing up his question. So thank you very much for your time. Have a great week.
Thank you so much for having me.
Shahan Jararaja with us. And Sean Fulton, by the way, thank you for reaching out to me on Twitter at Sean_Michael_F. All right. He mentioned Vanderbilt in Texas, or you brought it up. I got a note about UT. We could bring it up in the next segment about the offense. What?
We have a super chat.
Oh, we do. Okay. There we go. I didn't see it.
Eventually.
There we go. Ryan Wiley, Tim Brando is a joke. Going on FS1 and ripping a former Badger player who works for ESPN Wisconsin that does high school games. Brad Norman said that Fickle doesn't talk to us coaches,
high school coaches,
only if a top 8 recruit is committed. I didn't hear that, so I didn't even, this comes out of nowhere.
Well, he talked about Fickle on this show last week.
Well, I know, but I didn't know about this particular
No, I didn't know
part.
about that either. Ryan, we appreciate you, and thanks for the $50. That certainly is nice to receive, so thank you very much for that. And, yeah, I don't know exactly what you're referencing. I do know this. I have seen a lot of people calling Tim Brando a lot of things over the last several days on social media. He has been – if there were tomatoes to throw – he would be getting hit with tomatoes and whatnot because I don't even – what was it that set everybody off? Do y'all remember?
No, I mean, like, Tim is outspoken.
Yeah, no, he's very outspoken and very sure in what he's saying. I think it was maybe something about the playoff perhaps. I forget, but I just know that last week I was seeing him getting hammered left and right for – it was his thoughts on – like the LSU job. That's what it was. It was him. He had basically said that, according to him, that nothing was going to happen with Brian Kelly, and then it did, and that there was a lot. And then, he got blamed for being a Louisiana homer, so he's not going to take shots at LSU. And there was another fan base that he had, quote unquote, taken shots at. So that fan, I think it was Florida. Yes, now it's all falling into place for me. Now I'm remembering all these things.
You're getting to be as old as me.
No, I'm just trying to put the puzzle together because I've seen 1,000 tweets since then. And 1,000 Twitter fights. So yeah, he had said something where LSU fans took it crooked or Florida fans that took it crooked based on what he said about their job in comparison. So he was getting hit up for that. But yeah, I don't know, Ryan, what he said about or what he said on FS1 and all of that, but we do appreciate your support. And I know it's testy up there right now with Luke Fickle. So, hey, if you want to chime in on Fickle and if you think that we're off base when talking about him, then we'd be happy to have you chime in because I know that it does seem like things are pretty stark there right now as far as the future goes. And they could be another one that's joining the line here or joining the line that's already forming to jump in next year. That's nearly as long already as the line that's forming for this year.
Yeah, it is. It is nuts. The names of the programs who have already fired their coach and the names of the programs who might be next in line who could fire their head coach. All right, when we come back, Shahan brought up, and Paul, you asked him about Vanderbilt in Texas, which is like a 1.5-point spread.
Actually, Craig did.
I'm sorry. But I have something from Rod Babers we'll come back with, and something that I was looking at and thinking about watching that game as it unfolded against Mississippi State and even games before that. That's next. This is 365 Sports. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. Our good friend Brandon Rowe, who helps run the mothership here in the studio, went by there. It was his birthday last week and got himself a cigar. And Cheyenne and Joshua are there almost every single day. If they're not, somebody else is owning that particular company that has a 48-foot walk-in humidor. Now, this isn't even the first time they're in the Town West Shopping Center in between Richland Drive and Valley Mills. They had a store, smaller, quaint, and they opened this one up just right down the like 3 or 4 doors down, and they opened it up with more space to put in all of the great names in cigars. Rocky Patel, Macanudo, Ashton, H. Upman, My Father, La Fontana, Padron, Cohiba. You could go on and on. And they have what you need, whether it's kind of a little bit more of a harsh type flavor or one that's smooth as silk. They also have pipes for those who are still doing that. Along the way, they'll also clean them. And if you need a new one or need one fixed, they can do that. Also, they fixed my torch lighter that I use when I light cigars when I'm playing golf. It was just kind of being sporadic. They emptied it, cleaned it, and filled it back up, and it was great the very next day. They also, by the way, if you want, have fresh coffee beans. You can have them right there, grind them for you. Cowboy's one of their favorites. It is fantastic if you do drink coffee. Don Chumador and Coffee Beans in the Townwest Shopping Center between Richland Drive and Valley Mills in Waco.
0% for 72 months on all 2025 Ram 1500 trucks during the Drive into Fall event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Check out a 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab with a massive $16,000 off, or a 2025 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $12,000 off, and both at 3.9 for 72 months. And if you drive a Ford, Toyota, or GM, get an extra $1,500 bonus cash. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code SPORTS365 to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code SPORTS365. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games, 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Everyone who was watching Mississippi State dominate Texas on Saturday evening, even when Texas scored and Mississippi State had a shovel pass, went 70, whatever, 60, 75 yards. And it was like, bam. I go, my God, they're really going to do this. And they had everything they wanted right there in front of them, including at home. But UT, they came back to win the game and won it in overtime. So Rod Babers, he's been with us before on the show about UT. The Texas offense went down by 2 touchdowns this season. 7.5 yards per play. USC leads the nation at 7.8. 12% explosive play rate. Oregon is at 11.6, and they lead the nation in 20-plus yard plays. 60% third down conversion. Indiana leads at 58. What he was talking about here is it seems with that offense that is at times just what in the hell's going on? As soon as they fall behind where there's, hey, we got to go, do they let Arch just go do his thing and they better that way? They had to do that eventually with Vince Young. Just let him go. I'm not comparing him, but just let him go do his thing, because it seems like when they get to a point where they have to score quickly, then the offense and the defense changes a little bit too. Voila, it happens. And it happened against Mississippi State too.
Yeah, I think part of that, so it happened because they gave up a big punt return too. Like, it wasn't just the offense coming alive. I think it was a combination.
Well, that tied the game though. They had to get in to a point.
But, no, I'm going to get to your point. I'm just saying that, like, the reason why they won isn't just the offense by any means, but yeah, it does seem to come alive when their backs are against the wall. But it's been Ryan Niblett saving their bacon in multiple games now, or the defense keeping them in games to give them the opportunity to have those shots. And then, yeah, they seem to just kind of turn a corner there late in games. I don't know. I'm not well versed enough, and I will not pretend to be. I don't front for the audience. I will not pretend to be well versed enough to know why that would be. Why suddenly you are able to kind of flip a switch. I will, though, advocate just as a favor to Texas. I would be fine if they just start every game down 14-0. If we all agree to that, I'm going to do them that favor, right? For them. We can do that. But, yeah, I don't know how to explain that other than maybe the talent just finally it kicks in there at the end and talent takes over. And I think that's part of what happens is that they are still, I don't care what anybody says, very, very talented. And they have numerous guys who can make a big explosive play at any moment. So that certainly helps to have that in your bag and to be able to go to that. But how they all have managed to look so poor for so many stretches of games and then – boom, here comes the light bulb on. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that.
I think, if you look at the Kentucky game, which was just a week ago before that.
Another game that Ryan Niblett won them, basically.
Yeah. So they are able to do that against Kentucky and Mississippi State, and maybe against Vanderbilt. I don't know. But because of what you said, Craig, they have enough talent. All it takes is for you to make one mistake. They're good enough to keep it close enough. Also, I don't think Mark Stoops did anything wrong necessarily in the Kentucky game. He had them kind of playing his game. The only way they could have won that game was the way that was playing out. And then they just didn't win it. Well, not until the end of the game. Then he did something wrong. But throughout the game, I think they got Texas to play the way they wanted them to. But against Mississippi State, I think that was more Jeff Lebby just choking a little bit.
There was definitely some of that. Yep.
Yeah, Jeff Lebby choking a little bit. Now, in regards to, what happens when they play a team that can match them talent-wise or really make them pay for things, I don't know. But they have a lot of talent. They're just not good yet. And
they're not good as a team.
They're not good as a team.
They have to learn how to win.
Yeah, right. They've got to learn how to win. We'll see what happens against Vanderbilt this week. I think that they're very vulnerable, and I do think that if they lost another game or two, that you might see a little bit of a just a shutdown from them for the rest of the year emotionally. But I think part of it is also Sark is a good enough coach to figure out when he's got spots and makes them. But Ryan Niblett's the MVP of the team right now.
Sark, yeah, no doubt, he's definitely the MVP. If you're just going most impactful to getting you these wins, certainly. Yeah, Ryan Wingo had a really big night the other night too. He made some big plays for
50 you. 50-yarder that kind of got him going. Yeah.
So that's the kind of guy who can pop up and just make a play when you need it the most. And Arch, he's been very up and down. I said all offseason I did not crown this guy king. All I said was the most boring answer possible, but that's the right answer. Was I just can't wait to see who's right and who's wrong on him, or where it all falls. And it's fallen in the middle, where people thought he was going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then some people thought he was the most overrated kid playing children in New Orleans high school private football, right? And that he wouldn't be able to play at this level to the degree that people thought he could. And it's been kind of in the middle. He's an okay college quarterback with some really nice traits that can make him really good at times and moments, but he's got a long way to go. But he does have a Ryan Wingo or a Ryan Niblett or a Trey Wisner or those guys around him to pop and make big plays. And I think just Texas historically, I don't know these numbers, but if you look at, I don't think they ever just get their ass whooped all that often, or they don't ever just lose games. It's always down
Oklahoma
to the wire.
But most of the time,
besides
right.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
besides Oklahoma, that's a very short list.
KU in a Big 12 championship game, and I can that's about it. Yeah.
But typically, no matter if they're playing Ohio State in Columbus or they're playing whoever in Austin, they're in these games. And so I think they're just naturally kind of a team that's always in the fight. But yeah, they've been very fortunate. Give them credit for being somewhat capable of being like kind of that cardiac team, but you also can't rely on that week in and week out. And yet here we are, and they're still sitting right there squarely in the race of the SEC and in the college football playoff. And we act like the sky's falling sometimes with them. And it's like, hell, they're 5-2. Like they're not where they thought they would be maybe, but they're not far off from that.
They have to run the table, win the SEC to probably get in the playoff. That's pretty obvious. And they've had a couple of opportunities where people had a chance to take them out, and they couldn't do it.
Here's the other part. Who did you just beat? Kentucky and Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So like the two worst teams in the entire SEC. So like, yeah, if this schedule was a couple of different teams, and you're probably looking at 4-3 or what have you. But I mean, Mississippi State's much improved. Kentucky's just there. They're just simply there. And I know that week in and week out, anybody can beat anybody pretty much across college football at this point. But I do think that these scares, if they are just scares that they came at the right time against the right opponents, because if they're playing Alabama, they're getting crushed if they play the way they played against Mississippi State for the majority of that game.
Now the schedule built number 9 or whatever, and then it includes A&M right now at 3 down the road, and of course they have Georgia still to play. Let me ask you guys this without looking, and you guys might nail this. How many yards passing did Arch have in that win?
Oh, like 100 something.
Paul?
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah. I don't have
346.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was asking about.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
346 yards passing. And I do think, Craig, you're right. Seems like sometime late third quarter, he had like 136.
Yeah. And then look, that part of that was just because, again, the choking went on. I don't want to take it away from him, but
yards also, let's be fair, yards aren't everything.
Yeah.
No.
But I thought he like
you're right.
The thing that they have done, which they've done good, even when they've lost, their goal line defensive front is freaking amazing.
It's just nasty.
They're not just 325 to 50-pound guys. They're grown-ass men at 6'4", 6'5", and people have tried to jam it against them, and they can't. That's one of the things that saved them, too.
You have to run counters and traps and draws and things and get them up the field to really beat them in the running game consistently. You have to run it outside. You have to have an athletic quarterback who can do some things. You have to run jet sweeps. You have to take them out of the running game to where they're not the ones who are going to make the play. Now, the problem with that is you also have this guy, Anthony Hill, back there, who's a sideline-to-sideline
Simmons
monster.
Yeah.
And so, like, Anthony Hill and Simmons, kind of make things difficult. Also, I would like to, and I want Andrew to clip this, and we're going to put it out on social media. I don't know, like most college coaches are really smart about the history of college football. If the Texas Longhorns have a punt returner who wears the number 21, do not kick it to that guy because he's taking it to the house. There were 2 Metcalfs and now a Niblet.
Yeah.
Don't kick it to them.
Sounds like a law firm. Metcalf, and Niblet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Metcalf, and Niblet taking it to the house over and over and over again.
Yeah, and that's where they have that incredible, the game-breaking type talent that can turn a game and flip it quickly.
Yeah, that's just like that's where talent ultimately wins out in college football. Is you have those guys that can make plays that not everybody else has that can make those types of plays, and that's why in close games, I think you still, no matter how up and down they may look, you default to Texas a lot because they got a bunch of those guys on offense, on defense, on special teams. So yeah, they've I think made the best of their situation. I mean, the Ohio State loss earlier in the year, that doesn't look bad at all because, I mean, hell, look at Ohio State. But it could be a lot worse for them right now. They could have lost that game last weekend and then had to deal with the Sark rumors after that. But instead, he gets to be all defiant and angry at Diana Rossini and gets to play like the guy, the card that he just won and overcame that. And so now he's like really pissed off. I can only imagine if they had lost that game, what that rant would have been like. But They got very lucky against Kentucky, or they got very fortunate against Kentucky, but the defense, especially up front, made the huge stand. So, they're a team that's not quite as good as we expected, but they're still pretty good, and they're still very much in the mix, although this schedule does ramp up. And if they play the way they played the last couple of weeks, and they're going to be sitting there with 4 or 5 losses at the end of the year.
Yeah, it could have been like, good, you lose those 2, and then you have it could have fallen apart. But they're right there, ready and possibly to make a run. If they do, that's not just a team that's lucky. That could be a team of destiny. And then again, it could be over by the end of the weekend. Craig Smoak off the radar. A bunch of things to get to. And then, of course, we have much more to get to as well. Garrett Ross and Brandon Rowe and Andrew Valet, thank you guys for what you do every day. And this is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. 5 locations in this area, Waco. Wherever you are, there's probably one. If there's not, there will be, because they're the fastest growing pizza brand in America across the board. Bob Mock owns the stores here, very much involved in the community. Great guy, loves sports. But let me tell you, has been in the pizza business throughout his life. My first ever real job, besides sometimes carrying concrete at houses that were being built, which was fun in the summer, my first job really was delivering for a pizza brand. I enjoyed that. It was competitive, made some pretty good money, didn't have to work a lot, and I could work at night and enjoy the rest of the day. But it is fun. It's a great business. If you want to get in it, want to own a store, they do that too. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
No car payments for 90 days when you bring your auto loan home to Genco. Get 4.79% for 48 months and make no payments until 2026. Plus, get entered to win 3 months of no car payments. Bring your auto loan home to Genco. Lower your interest rate, save money, and no payments until 2026. Special is subject to credit approval and membership eligibility. Visit GencoFCU.org. Member NCUA.
Genco.
This is Craig Smoak's Off the Radar, presented by Alliance Bank. They take pride in making banking easy. AllianceBankTexas.com.
Welcome into 365 Sports. Welcome back. Time for Off the Radar. A little look at various stories floating around across the sports world. And I want to start off by reflecting back real quick on our text just here recently. Who was that from, by the way, guys? I should have asked you before we came back.
Ryan Willie, the super chat.
Yeah, Ryan. So shout out to Ryan. I like to answer the questions, and I like to make sure that we give you a satisfactory answer. So I think what he was referring to was during the Wisconsin-Oregon game, Tim Brando said that Dylan Jones for Wisconsin was out for the year due to injury, which apparently was not known to anybody at Wisconsin. So they actually had to come out and give a statement that said he is not ruled out for the year, Dylan Jones. And then he had also said that Danny O'Neal was injured, their quarterback, but that's not accurate as well. So I think that's what was being referred to. So thank you for the text. And stuff happens. I don't think it's anything malicious on Tim's part. I don't think he gains anything from that. Maybe just some crisscross communication or something, but glad Wisconsin was able to clarify, because it does sound like that put their fans into a little bit of a wait, what's going on here? So there you go with that. But just cleaning that up there so we know what he was talking about. But do appreciate those super chats. Meanwhile, there is a few different stories out here. And I want to start off with just the college football stuff and then get to the rest of it. But this was on the front page of ESPN, and I don't always like to take stuff from the front page, but sometimes it's the most interesting stuff. And sometimes it's the best story that's out there. And I do think it is interesting to see Greg Sankey come out publicly and tell the NCAA that they need to rethink and rescind their pending rule change that will allow athletes and staff members in athletic departments across the country to now bet on professional sports beginning on November 1st. ESPN obtained a copy of the memo that Sankey sent out to President Charlie Baker from the NCAA, stating during an October 13th conference meeting, the message of our presidents and chancellors was clear and united. This policy change represents a major step in the wrong direction. On behalf of our universities, I write to urge action by the NCAA D1 Board of Directors to rescind this change and reaffirm the association's commitment to maintaining strong national standards that keep collegiate participants separated from sports wagering activity at every level. If there are legal or practical concerns about prior policy, those should be addressed through careful refinement, not through wholesale removal of guardrails that have long supported the integrity of games and well-being of those who participate.
Greg Sankey is actually really good at his job.
Yes, he is. He's really good at it.
He's the best at his job.
He's so good we hate him for it.
He's also at times been a bully. That doesn't mean he's wrong, or he just maybe can be a little overmodulated. But that's one of the first times in a while that I've seen a quote or something he said, and I was like, thank you. I agree with him.
Yeah, he said the integrity of competition is directly threatened when anyone with insider access becomes involved in gambling. And he said the SEC is equally concerned about the vulnerability of our student athletes. So there was much more to this memo, but I just wanted to bring that back around because we talked about it last week. And I just sort of threw my hands up because I know there's nothing I can do about it, but I don't like it. I don't like it. And I just don't want to get into the conversation about, I just don't care about gambling personally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for all of you out there that enjoy it, good on you. I have nothing against that. I think it's a vice like anything else, but if you're in moderation, so on and so forth, none of my business. But I do think this is the right move by Greg Sankey. I don't think it'll affect anything, but I'm glad that he said something because I agree with him. I don't think that they can win the legal battle, which is probably why they're just saying we're going to tuck tail and run. And we're not even that, but we're not even going to try to fight this is what I believe they're doing. And I get that given that they're 0-142 in the recent fights, but I don't think this does anything good for the sport of college football.
No,
or sports in general.
No, I think that this dance that, sports are doing with gambling is there's a lot of give and take. And especially with the, this NBA scandal with Chauncey Billups and multiple players now. I mean, like, it's not just Rozier. It's Jonte Porter and Malik Beasley and other guys.
I will say that the one thing about that, Paul, is like, okay, if Terry Rozier saying, I'm hurt, I know that I'm hurt, I'm going to bet or tell my guy to bet that I don't score 20 points tonight, that's not good for the integrity of the game. It's also not affecting the overall outcome. You know what I mean? And so I think that's how some people choose to look at it, of like, well, it's not the whole fabric of it. And the Billups thing is an off-site poker game.
Yeah.
Now, I know he was also involved in giving reports to shady people, so it's not just all – I just want to make clear that there is more details to that story. It's not just all these guys were gambling and throwing games. That's not what it was.
No. I where I was going with that was that you have a gambling scandal in one of the biggest leagues in the world right now. That league is also going to turn around and put up advertisements for gambling all over the place, even though for 20 plus years now, it has not policed itself well when it comes to that. This is not the first time they've had it. And if I'm Greg Sankey, if I'm any of the college leaders, I am looking at the NBA going, well, if they're not policing it well, we don't police anything.
How does Chauncey Billups need more money?
Yeah, exactly.
At this point, holy cow.
So like, if they can't police it, how do we police it? How do we make sure that, like, oh, they can only bet on pro sports? Okay, but guess where you bet on the pro sports? On the same app, on a different tab than you bet on the college sports. So how are they verifying they're only betting on pro sports? How can they do that?
I guess it's the technology must have some way. I don't know, though.
Maybe, but again, like, it's just –
it is giving meth to a crackhead.
But they are – but it is a slippery slope. And
did you just call college athletes crackheads?
Yeah, I do think that, and I understand, like, individual freedoms and all these things, but I do think that if you take certain jobs, if you want to do that, if you want that to be your livelihood, and now college football is a job, no matter how much the schools don't want to say that these are employees. But if you want to be an air traffic controller, you can't have a 3-martini lunch.
Right,
okay.
yeah.
If you want to be a school bus driver, you can't smoke weed. Okay. If you want to do certain things, you have to give up certain things, and not just a school bus driver, just a bus driver in general.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do that, you have to give up certain things. So if you're not willing to do that for the reward of that, and these are little, like, oh, I can't gamble, damn my rights. Yeah, but you're going to make, $50,000 a year being a college football player. The kid who's gambling in your dorm doesn't get that. He's paying to go to school.
Yeah, but
they're paying you. Like,
I know.
There has to be, and look, that's maybe just a moral high ground I'm standing on, but I do think that sometimes these things need to be conveyed.
But then you say that, Paul, and like, I don't want to get into like politics and just human rights and everything here, but it's me, like, why are you putting a cap on how much money I can make? If this guy was to give me 50,000, he can give me, and that's right too. It's just, it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think that opening up the gambling for college athletes is probably the smartest move. And we've already seen, even prior to this, various college athletes getting in trouble here over the last couple of years for betting on meaningless, like, little basketball games for like a few $1,000 or whatever. So hopefully that's the limit of the damage done. But certainly they are going to be walking a tightrope with this whole gambling and college sports thing.
I didn't like it when I saw that it was going to be
so
November
go
1st. You're talking 5 days from now, 3 days from now, whatever.
Look at us and our pal Greg. We're going to get invited to media days next year.
We'll get credentialed now and approved to go to SEC media.
So it'd be 1-1 an all-time application.
1-1. 1 year we were rejected. 1 year was a tie.
Yeah.
They didn't contact us, and we didn't contact them.
Right. Meanwhile, it's a story I hate to report, but it is what it is. And we all, I guess a couple of us have skin in the game when it comes to Adrian Peterson, former NFL running back, former Oklahoma Sooner star, from Palestine, Texas. My favorite football player, even though we're pretty much the same age, is kind of weird. Like, typically in that person, like a little bit older than you, but just like the timing of our ages and where we're from and Oklahoma and all those things. Adrian Peterson was my freaking dude. Got a couple of his jerseys in my closet back home. Got various pictures of him autographs, all sorts of stuff. But he was arrested on DWI and unlawfully carrying a weapon after being found asleep behind the wheel of his SUV in Houston at a gas station, according to court records. 9 a.m. Sunday, he was found by Sugar Land police asleep in his running vehicle parked near a gas pump. No one else was with him. The officer said the interviewed Mr. Peterson detected the odor of alcohol emanating from his person, also observed bloodshot, glossy eyes, slurred speech, asked him where he was coming from, and he stated, get this, remember the last time he went viral? Guess where he's coming from? A poker game in Houston.
Yep.
Said he didn't know where he'd been, and he was trying to get to his home in Missouri City. Said he had consumed 2 to 3 shots of a vodka mix several hours earlier. And when asked on a scale of 0 being completely sober to 10 being intoxicated to the point of blacking out, where would he rate himself? He said he was a 2. They did a field sobriety test, found a Glock in the glove compartment. It's his second DUI in the last 7 months. And he was released after posting bail. But, 40 years old. And now all we see is him getting in trouble. Drunken driving suspicion in Minneapolis back in April after an NFL draft party. Then this incident here. He had the fight at the whatever makeshift poker game room thing that was happening there. Like, dude, this is just so sad for me to watch.
Was Chauncey Billups there?
No.
Soki, you know Adrian for a long time, since he was a kid. And, we've had him on the show a couple of times. He every time I've met him, I've found him to be a personable person. I know he's got a lot of demons though. And I hope that he gets help with those demons. I know this one probably, even because you've known a guy for a long time, probably stings a little bit more when you watch it, because you just want this guy who is the superstar athlete.
And you just know what he's throwing away, man.
Yeah, you just absolutely. So I think that it's I think it's just really sad, because I was a huge fan of his I've loved him at Oklahoma. I thought he got robbed of the Heisman Trophy. Yep. I think that
he's a freshman, he'll win it again.
Yeah, all of those things. But it really pains me to see him in this play.
You say he may have lost everything. He may have already done that.
Oh, he's already lost most of his money.
Child support everywhere, it seems like, based on stories. This will hurt me, and it hurts me now. I'm not going to get but I can text him and love the kid, but man, he's a mess. I hope somebody gets with him before it's too late, because this is one of those stories you don't want to know about the ending, and I hope I never do.
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about gambling. I wonder if, I don't want to speculate, but is he trying to recoup all the money that he threw away?
Yeah, then you
child
go deeper.
support, and then you get deeper and deeper, and obviously, now it's a couple DWI type of incidents, and so he's my favorite player, and I just hate to see what's kind of happening in his life, and I'm shockingly close in age, so it's like I really see it, and I'm like, dude, I didn't have $90 million or whatever it was that you've technically made over your lifetime. And what would be worse than not having it would be to have it and then to not have it. So I'm thankful to not know what it's like to have that and then not have it, like in his case. And I guess to maybe still be now chasing to try and recoup it, or just, I don't know, but it's just kind of sad to see, and nothing new in the life of pro athletes or celebrities or whatever. Like, people fall on hard times from all walks of life, but this one just hits a little close to home. And so it's just really unfortunate.
It's interesting you bring him up this week, because I had Tommy Allison, who's now at Walnut Grove High School, on the podcast last week, and he was the running backs coach at Palestine when Adrian was there before he became a head coach. And he said the other day something like he got a random text from him. It was the nicest text. He's just said, but he's obviously
he could use the support.
He's got some.
He could use the support. Do we have time for a couple more things here?
Yeah, you do. Right. There's no guest coming up, but we have a couple. Yeah, sure.
All right. So there was no Monday Night Football game last night. So Chiefs 28, Commanders 7. The Chiefs now 5-3. They were dead and buried, right? Much like Alabama football at the beginning of the year. And now here they are, and probably, I haven't looked recently, but I know they were surging up the odds to win the Super Bowl once again. But the Chiefs, with a win at home in Kansas City last night, it was a 7-7 game at halftime. Chiefs took the lead and didn't look back in the second half, outscoring Washington 21-0, with 2 touchdowns in the third and then another touchdown in the fourth. Travis Kelce with another touchdown reception, and this putting him now all-time on top of the list for Chiefs scores. So the records keep falling for the Mahomes and Kelsey combo, and pretty much when they're all wrapped up, like the entire Chiefs record books are going to be some combination, I feel like, of those two guys in the passing and scoring categories. But now tied atop the team record with his 83rd touchdown is one Travis Kelce. And who does that tie him with?
Where? Kansas City? It's going to be Priest Holmes.
Paul?
I'm because back in the teams they had with Dawson and them, they didn't score.
They didn't score a lot of touchdowns. Yeah, Christian Okoye.
Touchdowns? Oh yeah. No, I'm thinking of Derek Thomas. Sorry. Priest Holmes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had that run, man.
Holmes.
Now, who would you say was the guy that he just recently passed, though? Can y'all think of who that was?
For Kansas City?
Yes, of course. Yes, it's a Kansas City record. Yes.
Yeah, he's only played for one team.
Let me give you a really big
Mike
hint.
Garrett.
He plays the same position.
Tony Gonzalez.
Yes.
Yeah. Hall of Famer.
Yeah. He recently passed Tony Gonzalez, but now he's tied with Priest Holmes, former Longhorn Priest Holmes, with 83 career touchdowns. So he will break that as soon as their next game. And, well, Marcus Mariota's a nice backup to have, but I sure would like to see Jaden Daniels back in the saddle here pretty soon. Last year, everything kind of went right for them that could go right. The Hail Mary in Chicago and just things like that. Everything seemed to sort of fall their way. They stayed healthy as well, and they've had a big problem with staying healthy, although Terry McLaurin had an amazing touchdown catch in that game that kept it close early on, but ultimately KC is KC, and they win big on Monday Night Football, and Washington's just kind of floundering a little bit, sort of in the middle of the pack. So did you guys get much eyes on that one last night?
I didn't think they played, you said. No,
then I talked about it for 10 minutes afterwards.
No, they're a mess. Without Jaden Daniels, they have no chance. Mariota did pretty much all he could.
He can win a game here and there.
The week before, he was terrible. And then you get Kansas City right about the time they're getting hot, boys, by the way, boys and girls. I think they're going to end up under 500 this year.
You think so? Okay.
What are they, Garrett?
I'm honestly not sure.
3-4 or 5? I think they're 3-5 now.
Probably.
They have coming up
You're
Seattle and then maybe some other battering ram. So I think they're underwater. I think they're going to stay there. We can't enjoy good things more than a year as Washington NFL.
Well, that's why you
fans.
enjoy things when they happen and not expect them to just last forever and ever. Like
Marcus Freeman said.
And then, of course, last night, an all-timer in Major League Baseball, as the Dodgers and Blue Jays continue on with their World Series Classic for 2025. And it's the Dodgers taking now a 2-1 lead after how would you guys best describe what we saw last night?
The game's still going on, by the way.
I wanted to say it practically feels like it is still going on, Blue Jays and Dodgers. And really, I will say, I think that the Dodgers have made this a far more competitive series. Like, I didn't know exactly what to expect with this one, but it has been more competitive than I thought. But yeah, it was the Dodgers in, if you missed it, I'm sure you've seen it somewhere reported today, 18 innings it took to finalize this one. And the Dodgers with a run in the bottom of the 18th to win and to take home the latest round of the World Series, and no surprise about who was involved in that one. But Freddie Freeman with the big-time home run. He's always the guy. If it's not Ohtani, it's Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts, which I can't imagine you'd ever trade away Mookie Betts if you had him on your roster. I can't imagine anybody that would do that.
Yeah.
But if it's not Mookie Betts, then it's like Ohtani, Freeman, or Betts. You're covering all your bases there. Last night it was Freddie Freeman with the big homer to win the game, and just I don't know if that's good or bad for baseball. 18-inning games. I don't know what the ratings look like.
I think last night's was
fantastic.
And I didn't make it past 12. I wanted to, but I also have played that game before with the Dodgers. In 2018, we did a midway game. On the way home, I listened to Ian Kinsler screw up and send the game into extra innings, and I'll never forgive him for that. And then I was in and out of sleep until the 18th inning when our buddy Max Muncy hit a home run.
Yeah.
And then I was as conflicted as a human being as I've ever been in my life. But I didn't. I'm not going to make it. Amanda was falling. She was going to go to sleep. So I was like, you know what? Like, we'll just see what happens. And then when I woke up in the morning, it went 6 more innings. I know I wouldn't have made it.
Yeah. It was unbelievable.
So now they turn around and play tonight. So after that 18-inning marathon, now back at it tonight in LA. Dodgers and Blue Jays, Game 4, LA up 2-1. And guess who's on the mound for the Dodgers?
Mechagodzilla?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
Shohei
holy cow.
Ohtani on the mound for LA against Shane Bieber. So that is the pitching matchup tonight, and there you go. There's a few things off the radar.
Can I add this real quick?
Well, let me add on to what I just said. I'll also make mention 7 p.m. Central on Fox.
Okay, Shohei Ohtani. I sent this to Craig. His last 7 at bats at Dodger Stadium: home run, double, home run, double, home run, home run, home run. The first 3 in the NLCS and the last 4 in the World Series.
Okay,
He's not human.
You're also forgetting about the 5 straight walks they put him on last
Yeah,
night.
he was on
base 9 times
Yeah.
last night, and only one of them was not intentional, but it was an intentional walk. They were pitching around him because they didn't want to look like they're just giving up. But
they said they're giving up, though. They're
said,
intentionally walking him from. I don't care. Bases loaded, the game's tied. You intentionally walk.
I do think that we have all kind of collectively decided for the most part to just not, and this is not everybody, but this is the majority of to just focus on Shohei, the baseball player. But I still am very much interested in the documentaries that inevitably come out in the books that are written about the whole gambling saga from a year ago.
Okay. Yeah. Again, we're going back. There's another sport that had one of their biggest players
Mm-hmm.
mixed up in something.
And I still am not fully of the belief that
No.
he was completely ignorant to all of that, but that's just my opinion.
I don't believe that he was like involved, but I do think that he was throwing money this guy's way, or he had stupidly given him access to his money.
Sure, here's $18 million. Do it whatever you want to do. Here's full bank account codes.
Yes. Something was going on there. Amanda does not like Ohtani. She refuses to like him. She doesn't think he's a good guy. And I was like, well, how would you know? You know, and
I mean, we only really hear from his interpreter. When we see him, he's either crushing home runs, striking people out, or like playing with his very well trained dog, basically.
Yeah,
that's the only we see.
Yeah. He didn't even tell the Dodgers he was getting married until after he got married.
Yeah.
He's
He's
like,
incredible.
I
mean, we can go down the road of the whole betting incident and what really the truth is there. I don't think we've heard the last of that. I think there will be some documentaries to come and all that, but he, as a baseball player purely, is the best baseball player that I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's not really even close. And you know what? If you'd asked me before he arrived, like who that was, I'd be like, well, Ken Griffey was there for a little while. He was great, but there's been, Barry Bonds, but there's the whole steroids thing there. And there's been some pitchers that were really good, but I don't think I'd seen anybody where I go like, that dude's better than Babe Ruth. Like he should be the face of Major League Baseball, the GOAT of baseball. Shohei Ohtani is the first guy to make me feel that way of like, no, I actually think he might be the greatest baseball player that ever lived just because of what he can do. But there you go. Dodgers, Blue Jays tonight. Blue Jays would be awesome if they could go get a win and tie this thing back up. But Dodgers with that big 18-inning marathon win just last night. There's a few things off the radar.
Thank you, Craig. One note, country music singer Brad Paisley. There have been 2 18-plus inning games in World Series history, and he sang at both of them the national anthem.
Oh, I thought he was going to be the picker for College Game Day and whatever SEC matchup he has.
That's
very country singer.
Unbelievable.
He's probably done it before. But
I'm
he'd
sure.
be a good one. He's a funny dude. He's good.
I just posted the top 5 all-time touchdowns leaders in Chiefs history in the chat room. Paxton asked about Jamal Charles. He's 5th all-time. All right, there you go. All right.
Brad Paisley has been on game day, as a matter of fact. Where was he at? Let's go to. Oh, he's at West. He was in Morgantown.
Yeah,
he's in Morgantown. I don't know when. I guess 2015. So that was a while back. But West Virginia, TCU, and I'm sure he's probably I don't know. He's probably appeared since then. But So I just following up.
Wait, let me ask you a question. Go ahead. I got to get to a country question.
He's done. A couple of like comedy show things. If he were alive, and I think because he grew up watching, the Conway Twitty show and Hee Haw and shows of the like. If he were alive in the 70s, he would have been great at that. Like those kind of shows, old variety shows. He would have been great at that. But a country music question, Smoaky.
Who's your favorite country western singer? Is it like
Paul loves Kenny Chesney?
No.
No, Brad,
in reality,
I was just bringing that up.
Let's piss off some of our audience.
It's actually Rascal Flats.
No, I guess.
All right.
But
All right.
Didn't
here we
know
go.
Brad Paisley was from West Virginia, so that makes sense. That connection there.
Yeah.
We're deep in Brad Paisley lore now. At this point.
Right. Okay. Now, a super chat from Kim Coulter. You ready? Kim Coulter responds, let's be clear, Tim Brando, Coach Bennett are unquestionably the best and most knowledgeable guest on this show, followed by Khan. And, of course, Shahan and Max Olson. No ripping on Brando on this show. The super chat earlier was bull pooping, so he went $1 up. So, Kim, I'm going to get on the chat room. I'm going to argue with you. Go 52.
Yeah, let's just keep this thing.
But
no, thank you for the support. It's opinions.
And I'll tell you this, if we read that chat to Tim, he would take it in stride.
He would respond to it.
No, he wouldn't. No, he would immediately start yelling back and getting into a fight with the guy.
But
and I don't mean that negatively. That's just how Tim's personality is.
He would not welcome it if we
right.
said
No, he's open to criticism. He's just going to criticize back.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kim, and also all of the super chats. We do appreciate them. We really, really do. What do you guys want to do here? Well, we got some of the stuff coming up with the top 5, the wheel.
We can go to the top 5 where we're trying to right now.
We'll carry over tomorrow, Brandon, a couple of the other things. Do you want to get to the Big 12 logo?
Let's do that tomorrow.
What about the Big 12 logo?
You haven't heard about this?
Well, I mean, I know that they put the throwback logo as their profile picture.
Just wanted to get response from it. Okay, so Paul Catalina and the top 5 coming up. This is 365 Sports.
Something that will shake the big brand in the industry.
I just couldn't help myself. It tasted so good. It smelled so good.
I drink so much water now.
Number 1, the best bang for your buck. Number 2, we put out educational content. Number 3, our customer service and sales team. Number 4, we work to ship all orders out same or next day. Number 5, reviews. Let the games begin.
We set out to design a cap that could represent Boston. Blue collar, it's hardworking, it's loyalty, it's passion. I grew up with a group of friends where we're extremely tight-knit. All the people that you see on the ads are either my childhood friends or my brothers.
Introducing Carnal Beef Jerky. Crafted by our chefs using techniques honed in the finest Michelin-starred restaurants. Taste true luxury.
Extended vehicle warranties. Warranty providers have introduced a waiting period. This waiting period lasts for 30 days or 1,000 miles. Sign up on Chase today.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5. I am Paul Catalina, and today we're talking about surprisingly tough outs, teams that are tougher than we thought they would be this season. Brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Use our promo code 365sports at flagandanthem.com for a discount at checkout. Number 5, Wake Forest. I know most of you haven't thought about Jake Dickert and Wake Forest this year, but he's the new coach there. He was at Wazoo. Now he's there. Their quarterbacks are Ashton Daniels and Deshaun Purdy, multiple transfer portal visitors and users. And somehow, between those two guys, this team is 5-2 and beat SMU last week. They are a game away from bowl eligibility, and I did not think that would happen with the talent that they had on their roster. But it shows the kind of coaching that Jake Dickert can do and how tough they are to play. This is not a team you really want to get into a tight battle with. If you jump out on them, they probably can't come back. But if you play their game, they've got a pretty solid defense. They're going to hang with you. Number 4, Virginia. Here's Chandler Morris strutting his stuff on a Friday night. Anyway, Trauma gone. I'm over it. I'm never going to be over it. But Virginia, in spite of almost losing to North Carolina last week, remains one of the tougher teams in the ACC. Tony Elliott's offense is really hard to stop, and you've got 700th-year quarterback Chandler Morris back there running it, so you have some veteran experience. The running game is good. Now, they just lost one of their backs for the rest of the year, but the running game is good. The receivers make plays, and the defense is just good enough to get things done. Virginia is a team you also don't really want to mess with, and they've proven that over and over and over again. But don't forget, they lost to NC State earlier in the year. Everybody kind of counted them out week 2. Well, since then, they've just moved on up the charts and now into the top 25. Number 3, Iowa, surprisingly, the last 3 weeks, an offensive juggernaut. We always knew what Phil Parker and Kirk Ferentz were doing with that defense, but now they appear to be moving the ball on offense, especially Mark Gronowski, and his running ability has really, really helped the Hawkeyes out. They have 2 losses on the year. One of them was to Iowa State in a close game, as it always is in that game, but they are a very, very tough team to beat, and they've got some good teams on the schedule that, should the game play out their way, they can absolutely beat and possibly throw a wrench in the machine to their season on down the line. Number 2, Cincinnati. Scott Satterfield knew he had a good team. He knew that if you keep Brennan Sorsby healthy, he had a good team. He knew he had an offensive line that he liked. He knew he had running backs that he liked. He knew the guys from the transfer portal wide receiver were good. He knew that Dante Corleone was going to be back, and that was going to help out that defense, which is still not great, but it's very effective. Cincinnati is a team that has a very good shot to wind up in the Big 12 championship game. They just keep on moving forward. Brendan Sorsby is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. And, of course, in a quarterback-loaded conference, he even stands out in the Big 12. Watch out for the Bearcats. You don't want to play them. Number 1, Houston. They made number 1 on this list. And had they lost to Arizona State this week, I probably would have had them in at 4 or 5. But when you go on the road to Tempe, Sam Leavitt in or out of the game or not, and win that game after the last couple of seasons that you've had, you have put the rest of the Big 12 on notice that Willie Fritz, Connor Wegman, and everybody else are not to be messed with in the Big 12. Now, is this a team that can contend on down the rest of the stretch? We don't know. The Big 12 is kind of like that. But the Houston Cougars and Willie Fritz has sent a message that they are not going to mess around. And this team has completely taken on the personality of Willie Fritz. And that is a good thing. He knows how to win. He knows how to coach tough players. He knows how to deal with adversity. And the Houston Cougars are really a team that I think most teams in the Big 12 wish were still bad, because they are not going to let you go without a fight every single time. Well, that's going to do it for us. It's the Andrew Valade Carnival right now. The wheel she is a-spinning. Here we go.
It's like watching grass grow, Paul.
Okay. A specific question for Smokey.
Yes, sir.
Smokey, in your opinion, what is Elton John's best song?
Oh, dear God.
You could answer which kid you like more faster.
Yeah, and I can't answer that because I don't think you can just say what's the best song.
Okay.
But
sure you can. It's your opinion.
I will say, for me,
yes,
I love.
Yeah. This question was
your opinion. You can be anything you want it to be.
No, I know, but I mean, I'm going through 25 songs right now.
He's not watching, so he's not going to get mad at you.
Okay.
Smokey. Right. No, that's more like who was that? That was more like
McCartney.
McCartney, yeah.
I would melt if he said hi to me. I would.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington too. I'm going to say, "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me."
Okay.
Benny and the Jets.
Yeah. Mine's Tiny Dancer.
Unbelievable song.
Yeah.
Great song.
Mine's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, another one. Yeah. Another one. You know, one of the songs that he did, he did the, what's the song that, I don't know who was singing initially, but he did, it's the one about, it's LSD. It's the song about LSD.
You mean Yellow Submarine?
No, no. No.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Lucy in the Sky is unbelievable the way he sings.
Of course, Garrett knew that question. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my God.
I'm just kidding.
Shots fired.
But, that little-known Beatles tune, right?
Yeah.
That he took that from.
He's the kind of artist, so, like, if he sang a cover of my song, I'd be honored and be like, well, I guess I can't sing it anymore. Great.
Right,
Thanks, EJ.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I love Elton John's catalog, and I'd say goodbye Yellow Brick Road. So
Golly, I do when I'm on my way to go play golf on usually Sunday mornings. I'll get I just crank it up, and there's a lot of songs that it's unbelievable. He's the best. We went to a concert up at a couple. I've been to like 5 of them. But one of them up in Dallas, and he was just as good then. It's been a while, but he's just amazing.
Yeah, is he doing? He's not.
Yeah,
touring.
he did an unbelievable. If you ever want to look it up on YouTube, like a 7-hour concert at Dodger Stadium as his last appearance in the United States. But
but he's apparently appearing in St. Petersburg on January 31st. Unless that's from last year.
You can't turn it down.
No, it's for this year. It's September. It's St. Petersburg, January 2026.
If he's anywhere near me, I'm going to go again.
Yeah,
it's where Robert. Oh my God, this is where my brother's
$47 tickets, the low right now.
I don't care. There's no. Is he really?
I think you should go see your brothers.
I created that entire storyline just for this segment.
I have to. I love the guy. It's
either there or go check him out. His next date, February 6th in Istanbul, Turkey. So whichever you want to do instead, that's good. But
Brandon, do you even know who Elton John is?
Yeah, there's literally a whole entire movie that recently came out.
That's probably not the best way to know who Elton John is. But okay. All right. What else we have here?
All right. We've got trivia questions. Let's go to the trivia. All right. Which college football stadium used to be home to a famous bat colony before renovations removed them between 2013 and 2015?
I feel like I've read this somewhere.
I know I have too.
Well, remember it. Let me look it up.
I think it's Kyle Field.
I mean, it's just, it is. And that's when they did their renovations. That's when they started them. So I have no idea.
I think it's Kyle Field. But
it's more over Kyle Field on this logo.
Well, the Rose Bowl hasn't really been renovated all that much. I don't know about Autzen Stadium. And
do bats live up in the? Well, I'm sure they do. Yeah,
in cold weather,
cold, rainy weather. It's probably perfect for them. It's just like the bat cave. So of course they do.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Kyle Field. I agree with you, Craig. I think it's Kyle Field. Yep. There we go. Yeah.
It's one of those you remember it. There was an image. There's something like a photographic memory that popped into your head.
Used to host a large colony of 250,000 Mexican free-tailed bats that migrated there from March to October. These are the same bats that are in Austin?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Extensive stadium reno from 2013 to 15 installed nets to exclude the bats, forcing them to relocate to other campus buildings before the removal. Bat droppings were a notable issue for fans attending games.
So. Oh yeah, I mean, I should have known. I've been there a bunch of times, but I never really saw, guano anywhere. But I was always on the nice side. So, but yeah, bats. Yeah, they have tons of bats in Austin. If you've never been down there, my favorite thing I've ever seen in sports is Monty Ginobili killed one in San Antonio.
Inside the
it flew in and it flew at him and he just smacked it. And it, was done. So, and this may be why Manu Ginobili doesn't age. I don't know.
Oh, he does. There was there's a meme going around about him being bald the other day that I just saw about. I don't remember what I think it was something to do with who was the Celtics guy that was wearing the hairline color. Did y'all not see? Nobody here follows the NBA, but I mean, there was a Celtics player who was clearly using a product in their hair to cover up bald spots. And when he was going into the lane and was bumping off a guy to get some space for himself, when the guy got pushed back, there was like a brown streak across his jersey where the guy's head had just been. So it was clear, it was Jaylen Brown spray on hairline.
No kidding.
Jaylen Brown against the Knicks.
Wow. I hate that happens to you, but look, it comes for us all.
Yeah.
It comes for us all.
No, really? Yeah. I've known you for a long time now. Yeah.
I've got a nice stasis right now, but I don't know how long it's going to last.
I did actually see too. I need to mention Jaylen Brown because I went and Googled it to make sure of who I was talking about. Apparently, we don't plug just random stuff, but apparently he's going to address it like on a live stream on Wednesday, this says. So I'll at least see what the follow-up is. I'll have it for Off the Radar on Thursday, his hairline scandal.
Too. All right, what's next? Okay. In 1981, the Pawtucket Red Sox and Rochester Red Wings, I know the answer to this, played pro baseball's longest game. How many innings did it take to decide a winner? Wade Boggs was in this game. It took 33 innings.
33.
It took 33. I will definitively say that.
So
don't worry about that.
The half of what we saw last night into the morning.
Nearly twice as long as last night. I cannot imagine.
Go ahead and give me my dings.
Ding.
Oh, there we go.
You nailed that one as you were reading it.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of Red Sox history here. So, yeah, the Paw Sox, as they are known, defeated the Red Wings 33-inning game, 3 days.
Oh, God.
April 18th, 19th, to June 23rd.
Can we not just have a no contest? Can we just agree that, this is going on too long?
Yeah. Only 19 fans. There's actually also April 19th, which is my birthday. Only 19 fans, each receiving a lifetime McCoy Stadium pass.
Stop that right there. That is, I was just thinking before I even read the rest of that sentence, like they deserve something for being hardcore fans like that. So that's awesome that they actually did give them lifetime passes because, yeah, you deserve that. You earned that.
Yeah. I stayed in college at an FSU Miami game until the 15th inning. And it
really?
Yeah. And the thing was, it wasn't too late at night. It was a day game. It was a Saturday day game that went to like 9:30 or 10 o'clock. I mean, it was a long, long game. And there was a lot of runs scored. But after like the 10th inning, you have to make the decision. At the 10th inning, if you're at this game, you either leave in the 10th inning or you decide you're going to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
Sticking with it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the Red Sox, score the way you run.
All right, 33 innings. All right.
Yeah.
Poll results. How late did you stay up the 18-inning epic? Craig? You're a late night owl.
I was actually had it on the background pretty much the entire time. So I was probably somewhere in that. I did not see the end of it. Like I did turn away at some point because it was like the 14th inning or something. So I would have been the third option here. I hung till the 14th or 17th, but I was not watching it like pitch for pitch and all that. At that point, I was like, I'll see the ending, and then I missed the ending.
I was in the second one.
That's when you were told to go to bed.
And yeah, I decided
That's
I was
late.
going to make.
You got sleepy.
I was the one. Yeah,
I
but I was going to make it.
I used to be able to stay up till anything was complete, no matter what. But I got to tell you, I'm lying if I said I watched the ending. I watched it, and then, of course, I had turned off Washington against whoever early. And then this morning, while I was walking to go work out, I watched some of the monitors. I went, wait a minute, what happened here? And that's when I was able to just stand in front of them and watch what happened. Unbelievable game.
Yeah.
All right.
If your favorite league had a no commentary alternate broadcast, would you watch it?
Absolutely. I do that now anyway. And it's nothing against the broadcasters, just a lot of noise. I will turn down the sound almost always. And I've even referred to that because I haven't really heard something you guys discuss. I turn down the sound almost always now. It's background video.
Yeah, I came across a game. It was one of the ESPN, I forget what the name, like the multicast type of setup, but it was a game earlier this year in college football where they had the natural sound option for you. And I can't remember what game that was, but I watched that more than I did the actual announcers. Now, I didn't stick with it for all the other games that I probably could do that with, and maybe I just haven't noticed that option anymore, but I really enjoyed it. Like, it was awesome to just not have anything other than the sound of the crowd. And gosh, I wish I remember what game it was, but I really enjoyed it. I don't seek it out, but if it's there, then there's a good chance I'll try it out.
I've watched enough games without any sound on where I could certainly
fill in the blanks.
Blanks. And look, based on what we do, sometimes we don't need somebody telling us what's going on.
Yeah, it's just so there's now guys who want to be the broadcast rather than be a part of it.
And look, it depends on who's broadcasting. I'm not going to call anybody out. Some people I really like to listen to. I really do. I'll just tell you, the World Series, I'm a little bit divided because I love Joe Davis. I used to do a pregame show with Joe Davis way back in the day.
Whoa!
So like way back before Joe Davis was Joe Davis. But I love Joe Davis. John Smoltz is really smart, and I love when he nerds out on pitching, but he's not exciting. He doesn't match Joe Davis's energy. So I kind of get bored with John Smoltz. Not that he's not knowledgeable or he's annoying. I just get a little bored with him.
I just don't really rely on it for much.
Yeah.
It's all kind of blends into me. Now, there's some times where I focus in and I'm like listening to like Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. I'm actually like paying attention, but oftentimes I'm just watching the action, and that's almost like background to me for the most part.
It is. I do that a lot. I'm telling you. I'd say probably most of the night, most of the day.
Yeah.
So the 61% said yes. Pure game is better. No way. Commentary adds context.
It was I'm now thinking about it. It was a BYU game that I was watching. It was like the third or fourth game maybe of the year. And to get the experience of just hearing that crowd unfiltered without the broadcast overlaid, that was really cool to be able to experience that. So yeah, there was a BYU game now that I'm thinking back in the memory bank here.
Was this was this recently or this was
this
after?
year.
Okay. You know, it'd be a good option to be able to watch the game with just the crowd noise.
Yeah.
They ought to do that on YouTube TV.
I also wish, and this is a completely different thing, if they're going to do all these things, I would like them to sync it, like where I could sync up like the team broadcast of certain teams, because I do like their broadcast.
Yeah, they do that sometimes on ESPN.
Yeah,
like
where
sometimes there's an option.
But I think I wish it was I wish I could watch the Cowboys games without having to do tricks and listen to Brad and Bay.
The delays and all that. Yeah. Okay. By the way, I was wrong on Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. It was inspired by a childhood drawing from John Lennon's son, Julian, who showed his father a picture he made of his classmate, Lucy O'Donnell.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually that song was described, the lyrics, nursery rhyme serialism. So there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. It was.
So Garrett, that's why Garrett thought he knew the background.
Yeah,
but that's long. Yeah, now that you say that, like I remember that explanation after everybody has always believed that it was about drugs and about heroin. But yes, they eventually came out with, no, this is what it's really about. This is what it's really about.
Yeah. And Yellow Submarine was a picture that Ringo drew on a bar napkin.
Right,
okay.
Yeah.
Baxter's saying, by the way, Craig, it's Skycast.
Skycast, yes.
Skycast.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And a lot we appreciate it. Thanks for the super chats. We really do appreciate your support on that. And of course, all of you, including Ryan, Kim, thank you for what you did, but everybody that's been a part of the show. We rely on you. Hopefully you'll be back with us tomorrow at 3 and rely on us. Kalani Sitake, Willie Fritz, and Ari Temkin will be part of our guest lineup tomorrow. Yep. And TCU quarterback Josh Hoover on Thursday. For Craig and Paul, for Garrett and Brandon and Andrew, thank you so much. Good night, 365 Sports.